Li Wei awoke to find himself inexplicably transported to the perilous world of Tunchi Shinkong, becoming the unfortunate son of the villainous couple, Vulture Li Yao and Scorpion Venina. He had yet to savor the glory of his war god parents, yet the grim fate that awaited him, as depicted in the original narrative, loomed over him like Damocles' sword. Confronted with the impending might of Luofeng and countless cosmic dangers, Li Wei awakened the ultimate system, the harm absorption transformation system. Physical strikes? Energy bombardments? Mental illusions? Even soul annihilation? Bring it all on. Any form of harm would serve as sustenance for his growth, all convertible into realm value. Thus, beneath the starry skies, a uniquely extraordinary existence emerged. Chapter 1. Transmigration of Li Wei? No, it was a hanging. A splitting headache throbbed, as if a heavy hammer were relentlessly pounding at his temples. Li Wei abruptly opened his eyes, only to be greeted not by the familiar chaos of his small rental apartment's ceiling, but by a soft halo of futuristic light, illuminating the entire room from sleek wall sconces. Beneath him lay an unimaginably soft mattress, its touch cool and silky, as if it were made from some extraordinary fabric. He surveyed the astonishingly spacious room, adorned with opulent yet austere decor, the structure composed of metals and some unknown composite materials, with sharp lines exuding a sense of power. One wall was a completely transparent floor-to-ceiling window, through which he beheld a skyline of towering skyscrapers, with peculiar flying vessels gliding silently among them like fish. Where is this? Li Wei clutched his still, throbbing head, struggling to sit up. Fragments of unfamiliar memories surged into his mind like a flood, forcefully merging with his existing recollections. Li Wei, extreme martial arts school, foundational training, war godparents, Li Yao, Venina Bolognese. He inhaled sharply, fully awakening. Tunchi Shinkong. I have actually traversed into the world of Tunchi Shinkong and become that unfortunate character, the son of Vulture Li Yao and Scorpion Venina, Li Wei. The very one who barely survived a few chapters in the original work, casually crushed by Luofeng, a quintessential second-generation tragedy. A chilling wave shot up his spine. This world is no safe and harmonious modern city. It is a realm overrun by monsters, where warriors reign supreme, capable of obliterating the very heavens. Planet level is merely the beginning. Cosmic level, domain masters, realm masters, and even immortals, supreme beings of the universe, the higher realms he had scarcely remembered from the novel, could annihilate stars with a mere thought. And he, Li Wei, was but a small, junior warrior? In this terrifying world, what distinguishes a junior warrior from cannon fodder? Moreover, he had parents destined to oppose the future galactic lord, Huan Yuan, Lord Luofeng. This beginning is nothing short of a hellish luxury package. Just as Li Wei's heart was submerged in overwhelming panic and despair, contemplating whether to flee immediately or find a way to cling to Luofeng, though he would likely be collateral damage due to his parents, a cold, emotionless mechanical voice abruptly resonated in his mind. Ding! Detection of host soul and vessel complete fusion. Life sign stable. Unique binding system. Harm absorption transformation system activated successfully. Commencing loading. Loading complete. Welcome, host Li Wei. A system? A golden finger. The ecstasy of surviving a dire situation instantly dispelled his fear. As a seasoned online novel enthusiast, he understood precisely what this entailed. System. What are your functions? Please introduce yourself. Li Wei eagerly shouted in his mind. This system is the Harm Absorption Transformation System, with the following core functionalities. 1. Harm Absorption. Unconditionally absorb all forms of damage inflicted upon the host, including but not limited to physical strikes, energy impacts, toxin corrosion, mental attacks, soul annihilation, etc. Regardless of the damage source's level, complete absorption is guaranteed, ensuring the host sustains no actual harm. 2. Energy Transformation. Automatically convert all absorbed damage energy into realm value. Realm value can be utilized to enhance the host's physical genetic energy, mental strength, and soul essence. Current realm, Junior Warrior level. Genetic energy, 15,800 kilograms of punch force, standard. Mental strength, not awakened. Realm value, 0. Note: absorbing damage will make you stronger. Please actively seek harm to improve. Li Wei stared in astonishment at the concise holographic interface that appeared in his mind, mouth agape, as if he could fit an egg inside. Absorb all harm? Ignoring levels? And converting it into cultivation? This system is overwhelmingly powerful. An invincible beginning. The previous panic and despair were instantly cast aside, replaced by an indescribable excitement and exhilaration. What Luofeng, what Beast Emperor, what supreme beings of the universe. Come forth. Bring it on. Your attacks will be the nourishment for my growth. He nearly succumbed to the urge to laugh maniacally at the sky. Vulture Li Yao, Scorpion Venina. Fear not, dear parents. This son will undoubtedly surpass your wildest expectations. Young master, are you awake? A respectful knock sounded from outside the door, accompanied by the voice of a middle-aged butler. Mr. Li Yao and Madame Venina instructed that if you awaken, Please proceed to training ground number 3 for today's physical training. Training? What training? I have a system now. Just taking hits will make me stronger. Who would still toil away in practice? HM? Wait. Li Wei's eyes suddenly brightened. A training ground? Isn't that a ready-made source of harm? Understood. I will go immediately. Li Wei sprang up from the bed with an agile leap, moving with a swiftness that belied his earlier headache. He quickly donned a high-grade combat suit prepared by his bedside, feeling the overwhelming strength coursing through his body, far surpassing his previous suboptimal health. Though merely a junior warrior, each punch and kick carried a whistling force. With a spirited demeanor, he flung open the door, striding purposefully toward training ground number 3, as the butler regarded him with mild surprise at his unexpected enthusiasm. Li Yao and Wei Nina, as formidable warriors of divine caliber, reside in an exceedingly vast domicile, replete with comprehensive amenities. The number 3 training ground is a colossal chamber spanning hundreds of square meters, furnished with an array of sophisticated training apparatuses that Li Wei has only encountered in novels. A punch force testing machine, a speed measuring device, a neural reaction testing chamber, and even several advanced robots designed for combat simulation. At this moment, the training ground is not devoid of life. A robust middle-aged man with piercing eyes stands with his arms crossed. He is Zhou Yong, a martial arts instructor hired by the family, a high-ranking battle general responsible for guiding Li Wei's training. Young master. Zhou Yong nods slightly upon seeing Li Wei, his demeanor lacking in excessive reverence, bearing a hint of the characteristic coldness of a martial artist. Today we shall continue with extreme power training, aiming for a stable output of over 15,000 kilograms within half an hour. Had this been the former Li Wei, he would have inwardly lamented such a daunting target. Yet now, his gaze is fixed with fervor upon the state-of-the-art punch force testing machine at the center of the arena. Instructor Zhou, Li Wei steps forward, a glimmer of anticipation gracing his features. The conventional training lacks challenge. Let us change things up today. You attack me with all your might. What? Zhou Yong is taken aback, doubting his hearing. Young master, what did you say? I said, you should unleash your strongest blow upon me. Li Wei gestures to himself, his tone earnest. Do not hold back. I wish to experience the true strength of a high-ranking battle general and awaken my potential. Zhou Yong furrows his brow. Young master, this is against protocol. My full-force strike, even if somewhat restrained, far exceeds your threshold for endurance. Should an accident occur, there is no should. Li Wei interrupts him, his eyes resolute. This is my own request. I will take full responsibility for any consequences. Or are you afraid of injuring me and having to explain it to my parents? Though the provocation is somewhat cliched, it often proves effective with straightforward martial artists. Zhou Yong's expression darkens. Since the young master insists, I am compelled to oblige. I will control my strength to the level of a junior battle general. Please be cautious. He inhales deeply, his bones emitting a faint crackling sound, and as he tightens his right fist, a formidable aura erupts, causing the air to thicken momentarily. Li Wei does not flinch. Instead, he steps forward eagerly, fervently chanting within. System. Brother System. I rely on you. Absorb this. Zhou Yong springs into action. His figure darts like lightning, and with a thunderous punch, he strikes Li Wei's crossed arms with a deafening sonic boom. Bang! A resounding thud reverberates throughout the training ground. Li Wei feels an unimaginable force surging toward him. Yet at the instant of contact, the terrifying power capable of shattering his bones and grievously injuring his organs dissipates, as if it were a drop in the ocean. No, it does not vanish. In his perception, that force is entirely absorbed by an invisible barrier, which then undergoes a mysterious transformation, converting into warm, pure energy that flows into every limb and sinew of his body, each cell seemingly rejoicing and greedily absorbing this energy. Absorbed physical strike, approximate junior battle general, transformation realm value 587. Absorbed physical strike, approximate junior battle general, transformation realm value 613. Absorbed physical strike, approximate junior battle general, transformation realm value 602. The system notifications resonate continuously, with the realm value rapidly fluctuating. Yet Li Wei remains steadfast, not swaying an inch, a look of blissful contentment unconsciously gracing his countenance. In contrast, after landing his punch, Zhou Yong is taken aback. The anticipated scene of Li Wei being sent flying and spitting blood does not materialize. Instead, he feels as though he has struck an ancient, unyielding divine mountain. The recoil leaves his wrist tingling, and his energy surges, causing him to retreat 3 steps before regaining his balance. Chapter 2. The Surge of Realms and the Parent's Astonishment. With just one punch, the realm value gained approached 2,000 points. The sensation of warm energy coursing through his body was exquisite, akin to every cell indulging in an ultimate spa experience, 1,000,000 times more pleasurable than any massage. His gaze towards Zhou Yong ignited with an intense fervor. Was this truly an instructor? This was evidently a human embodiment of an experience package, a mobile repository of cultivation energy. Teacher Zhou, don't dawdle. Li Wei flexed his wrist, his tone laced with urgency. He had felt a hint of something just now, but it was still insufficient. Once more, this time don't hold back. Unleash your true prowess as a high-ranking battle general. Strike here. He gestured towards his chest, his demeanor sincere enough to provoke existential doubts. Zhou Yong's eyes twitched. The true strength of a high-ranking battle general? That previous strike had already exceeded limits. If he were to unleash his full might, what if he genuinely harmed the young master? The war god Li Yao would tear him apart. However, the young master's request and expression were indeed peculiar. Moreover, the force of the rebound was undeniable. With a determined grit, Zhou Yong steeled himself. The innate ferocity of a warrior ignited within him. He was eager to uncover what had transpired with the young master. Young master, be cautious. Zhou Yong roared, this time without any reservations. The energy of a high-ranking battle general erupted explosively, currents swirling around him, even generating subtle whirlwinds. He propelled himself forward, the specially crafted composite material beneath his feet emitting a faint groan, launching himself like an arrow released from its bow, his right fist clenched tightly, muscles taut and veins bulging, exuding an indomitable ferocity aimed directly at Li Wei's chest. This punch had the potential to dent and shatter the frontal armor of a heavy tank. Bring it on. Li Wei stood firm, excitement gleaming in his eyes. Boom. A sound more thunderous and ominous than before erupted, a violent shockwave emanating from the two of them, causing the equipment at the edge of the training ground to tremble slightly. Absorbed physical strike, full power of high-ranking battle general, realm value converted, 1,528. Absorbed physical strike, full power of high-ranking battle general, realm value converted, 1,489. Absorbed physical strike, full power of high-ranking battle general, realm value converted, 1,551. The realm value surged wildly, this time yielding far greater rewards than before, nearly 5,000 points from a single punch. The influx of energy was vast and pure, rendering him on the brink of moaning in pleasure. Meanwhile, Zhou Yong felt as though his punch had plunged into an endless black hole, every ounce of power devoured completely, followed by a more ferocious and violent rebound surging back through his fist and arm. Crack! A faint sound of bone fracturing resonated. Uft! Zhou Yong could no longer contain himself. A coppery taste flooded his throat as he spat out a mouthful of blood. His body flung backward as if struck by a speeding train, soaring several meters before crashing heavily against the training ground wall, producing a resounding impact, and then sliding down to the ground. His right arm twisted unnaturally, clearly fractured, his internal organs having endured a violent jolt. He lay sprawled on the ground, gazing at Li Wei, who remained steadfast in his position, his attire untouched even amidst the chaos. The system absorbed damage, including kinetic energy and shockwaves, thus leaving his clothing unscathed. In his eyes, only boundless terror and astonishment lingered. A monster. The young master is a monster. Li Wei cast a glance at the system panel, noting that his realm value had accumulated to nearly 7,000 points. He smacked his lips in contemplation and turned his gaze to the incapacitated Commander Zhou, who lay defeated on the ground, shaking his head in regret. The experience package, It seemed the commander was temporarily out of commission. Commander Zhou, are you alright? Li Wei approached, his tone laced with concern. After all, he might still rely on him for damage in the future. Do you need me to call a doctor? Zhou Yong instinctively recoiled as Li Wei drew near, suppressing the excruciating pain, his voice hoarse. And no, it's fine, young master. What is this? His mind was a whirlwind of questions and dread. Oh, I've had a slight breakthrough recently. My physical strength has improved a bit, Li Wei casually explained. Although this reasoning was somewhat far-fetched, it appeared to be the only plausible explanation. Could he possibly admit to having a system that specifically absorbs damage? He casually opened the system panel, gazing at the nearly 7,000 realm points, silently urging, System, elevate my realm. Ding. Consuming 5,000 realm points, commencing enhancement of the host's comprehensive realm. An energy far more formidable, purer than that absorbed previously, surged forth from the depths of his being, akin to a gentle tide, swiftly enveloping every corner of his body. His cells rejoiced, his bones emitted a subtle hum, becoming denser and more resilient. Muscle fibers tore and reformed, their inherent strength surging dramatically. The genetic primal energy that had previously been somewhat stagnant within his meridians suddenly roared to life, flowing ceaselessly. A marvelous sensation of transcendence in the realm of life washed over him. Enhancement complete. Current realm, high battle general level. Genetic primal energy, 28,600 kilograms of punch force, standard. Realm points, 1823, 10,000. A powerful aura involuntarily emanated from Li Wei, though fleeting. Zhou Yong, in close proximity, distinctly felt the surge of strength that had momentarily erupted. Another breakthrough? In the blink of an eye? Ascending directly from junior battle general to high battle general? Zhou's eyes widened, momentarily forgetting the searing pain in his arm, his mouth agape, as if turned to stone. Surely, no medicine could act this swiftly. This had entirely surpassed his comprehension. Li Wei clenched his fist, reveling in the nearly doubled strength surging within him, his heart brimming with ambition. He had merely endured 2 punches. At this pace, the god of war level was within his grasp. Luo foam. Just wait. Soon I will no longer fear you. At that moment, the training hall's door was thrust open with force. A tall, striking figure strode in briskly, golden hair shimmering like sunlight. Her beauty unparalleled yet accompanied by an aura of icy aloofness, particularly in her eyes, sharp enough to pierce the very soul. She was none other than Li Wei's mother in this life, the formidable Vanina Paulinus, known as the Scorpion. She had evidently heard the tremendous commotion and unusual energy fluctuations emanating from the training ground, and had hurried over. Upon entering, she immediately beheld Zhou Yong. Collapsed on the ground, arms contorted, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, as well as her son, Li Wei, standing nearby, radiating the aura of a recently advanced high-ranking warrior. Vanina's delicate brows furrowed instantly, her icy gaze sweeping over Zhou Yong with a hint of displeasure. Instructor Zhou, what on earth is happening? How could the training be so reckless? What if my little Wei gets hurt? Her initial reaction was to hold Zhou Yong accountable for the apparent mishap that nearly endangered her precious son. Zhou Yong nearly choked on his own blood at her words, his heart screaming in protest. Madam, please see clearly. I am the one injured. It's me. Young master is completely unscathed, and he even advanced right here. He nearly struck me down, but he dared not voice his grievances, suppressing his feelings of indignation and fear as he struggled to speak. Madam, it's... Mother, it's not Instructor Zhou's fault. Li Wei interjected swiftly, his mind racing as he sought a plausible excuse to elucidate his remarkable advancement. I requested Instructor Zhou to exert his full strength against me. I wanted to test my limits, and unexpectedly, under pressure, I managed to break through. Upon hearing this, Vanina's frosty demeanor softened instantly, her attention captivated. She sensed Li Wei's aura more closely and, indeed, confirmed it was at the high-ranking warrior level, remarkably stable. As if he had been in this realm for years. A spark of delight ignited in her beautiful eyes. A high-ranking warrior? Little Wei, have you truly broken through? Vanina hastened to Li Wei's side, grasping his hand, a gentle surge of primal energy probing into him for a thorough examination. Once assured, the frost on her face melted entirely, blossoming into an incredibly radiant smile, a manifestation of genuine joy and pride. Splendid. Absolutely splendid. I always knew my son was destined for greatness. She completely overlooked Zhou Yong, still lying on the ground. The news of her son's advancement to a high-ranking warrior was monumental. What did a minor training incident matter? As long as Zhou Yong was alive, that was sufficient. Instructor Zhou, you have worked hard. It seems your extreme pressure training method is indeed effective. Please take care to heal. The family will provide you with double, no, triple the medical resources and bonuses as compensation. Zhou Yong thought to himself, should I be pleased? Little Wei, come, let us swiftly test your current metrics, so your father may share in the joy. Vanina eagerly pulled Li Wei towards the exit, but suddenly recalling something, she turned back to cast a cold glance at Zhou Yong. The events that transpired here today, particularly the details of Little Wei's breakthrough, are to be classified as family secrets and must not be disclosed to anyone, understood? Yes, madam. Zhou Yong replied hastily, enduring the pain. Satisfied. Vanina nodded and departed the training ground with Li Wei. As Li Wei followed closely behind his mother, he cast a glance back at the pitiful Zhou Yong, offering an apologetic look, only to be filled with excitement anew. Testing metrics? Perfect. He yearned to ascertain the extent of his current physique. Moreover, the testing apparatus might yield some insights regarding his resilience, perhaps through the neural response test's assault beams. His invincible journey had only just commenced. Chapter 3. The Haunting Tests and Mental Prowess. Family Private Testing Center. The equipment here far surpassed that of the training grounds, boasting a level of precision and advancement unparalleled. With many devices procured directly from the core production lines of the Extreme Martial Arts Academy and the Thunder Martial Arts Academy, worth a fortune. At this moment, Vanina radiated joy, her previous cold demeanor dissipated by the elation of her son's breakthrough. She personally operated the main control computer, her tone brimming with anticipation. Xiao Wei, let us first measure your punching power. Relax and strike the bullseye with all your might. Li Wei positioned himself before the massive punching target, crafted entirely from crow alloy, capable of withstanding the full-force blows of a war god. He took a deep breath, not consciously activating the system, but relying solely on his newly ascended advanced war general physique, twisting his waist to generate power, and delivered a punch. Boom. A thunderous sound reverberated through the testing chamber, as the numbers on the adjacent display screen fluctuated wildly before settling at 31,258 kilograms. Vanina's eyes sparkled with delight, unable to contain her admiration. Excellent. Just having ascended to advanced war general, and you can exert over 30,000 kilograms. Xiao Wei, your foundation is remarkably solid, and your original energy quality is exceptionally high. This data approaches the pinnacle standard for advanced war generals, far surpassing the typical newly promoted individuals. Yet, Li Wei secretly scoffed. A mere 30,000 kilograms? It seemed that the enhancement of his physical strength was a gradual process. The system had elevated his realm directly, but the specific exertion still required his own mastery and cultivation. Nevertheless, this was merely the beginning. Next came the speed test. At the end of the track, Li Wei shot forth like an arrow released from a bow, leaving behind a blurred afterimage. The neural response, speed, and muscle explosiveness of an advanced war general were incomparable to before. Result: 128 meters per second. What astonishing speed! Vanina exclaimed in surprise. This velocity also reached an outstanding level among advanced war generals, and her son's movements appeared particularly agile. The final and most critical test was the neural response assessment. Li Wei stepped into a circular testing area with a diameter of 10 meters, where dozens of dark gun barrels suddenly emerged from the surrounding walls. Some ready to fire rubber bullets, others poised to unleash low-energy laser beams. Xiao Wei, prepare yourself. Once the test commences, evade all attacks. Difficulty level set to outstanding for advanced war generals. Vanina escalated the challenge, confident that her son could astonish her further. Buzz. The red light illuminated, and a piercing alarm sounded. In an instant, a multitude of red laser beams and rubber bullets surged from all directions at various treacherous angles, weaving a deadly net around Li Wei. His gaze sharpened. The dynamic visual acuity and bodily control of an advanced war general were pushed to their limits as he maneuvered like a specter within the confined space, evading the majority of the assaults. However, the onslaught was simply too dense and too swift. Laser beams and rubber bullets, numbering over a dozen, were inexorably aimed at his body, poised to strike. In that moment of impending peril, Vanina felt her heart leap, her finger hovering over the emergency stop button. Just as calamity seemed imminent, a thought flashed through Li Wei's mind. Do these lasers and bullets constitute harm? System absorb. With a mere thought, those imminent laser beams and rubber bullets encountered an invisible, impenetrable barrier just before touching his skin, their energy absorbed in an instant, their kinetic force vanishing without a trace. The lasers extinguished silently, and the rubber bullets fell softly to the ground at his feet. Absorbed low-energy laser impact. 7. Converted realm value. 1, 1, 1. Absorbed physical kinetic impact. Rubber bullets 9. Converted realm value. 2, 2, 2. The system's notifications echoed in succession. Though the realm values offered per incident were painfully meager, almost negligible, even the smallest gains were worthwhile. Most importantly, this confirmed his hypothesis. Even attacks of a test nature could be absorbed by the system. Moreover, at the moment the system absorbed the damage, his body entered a state of absolute invincibility, allowing him to disregard the threat of being hit, and focus entirely on observing the trajectories of the attacks and refining his evasion techniques. His dodging movements became bolder, more efficient, imbued with an almost prescient fluidity. To Vanina, observing from the outside, it appeared as though her son, after an initial display of clumsy panic, had suddenly entered a state of remarkable enlightenment. Those attacks that once seemed certain to land inexplicably faltered at the last moment, while her son's movements grew increasingly elusive, as if he could foresee the paths of the attacks. Was this the nascent form of a perfect evasion technique? Vanina covered her mouth in disbelief, her eyes wide with astonishment. The neural response test not only gauged evasion capability, but also revealed the essence of his movements. Foundational, intricate, perfect, ethereal. Had her son, at the advanced warrior stage, touched the threshold of perfection? What extraordinary talent was this? As the test concluded, the screen displayed the final evaluation. Advanced warrior, excellent grade. Passed. Number of hits, 0. Evaluation, perfect. 0 hits. Vanina gasped in shock, rising abruptly from the console, her body trembling with excitement. An advanced warrior achieving an excellent rating with 0 hits? This was nothing short of miraculous. Even many junior war gods could scarcely manage such a feat. She turned her gaze to Li Wei, emerging from the testing area, her eyes aflame with admiration that could almost melt him. Xiao Wei, you have given your mother an abundance of surprises. Not only are you an advanced warrior, but your agility, your neural responses, genius. My son is truly a prodigy. Li Wei felt a bit bashful under his mother's fervent gaze and rubbed his nose. It was primarily the system's merit. Without its absorption of those certain hits, he could never have achieved a score of 0. Nonetheless, the sensation of being regarded as a genius was quite pleasant. Perhaps it was simply a case of extraordinary performance under pressure. He once again employed his all-purpose excuse. No, this is not merely an extraordinary performance. It is a true manifestation of your potential. Vanina, brimming with excitement, stepped forward and embraced Li Wei, exclaiming, I must immediately share this wonderful news with your father. He will undoubtedly be overjoyed. At that moment, perhaps due to the overwhelming emotion or the subconscious relaxation that accompanies holding her son, a faint yet almost imperceptible aura of spiritual pressure, characteristic of a high-ranking war god, inadvertently emanated from Vanina, sweeping over Li Wei. This subtle pressure might be negligible for those of equal stature, yet for a general-level warrior, it was sufficient to instill a momentary shock and fear. However, just as this mental pressure brushed against Li Wei, a series of system notifications echoed within his mind. Detected a weak mental pressure impact. Conditions for absorption met. Initiating absorption. Absorbing mental attack. Unconscious emission from the high-ranking war god. Converting realm value. 888. Warning. Absorbed energy has approached the potential talent barrier. Ding. Detected host possesses the talent of a mentalist. Hidden potential activated by realm value. Mental power awakened successfully. Current mental power intensity. Initial general level, controllable. A succession of system alerts bombarded Li Wei's consciousness like hailstones, leaving him momentarily stunned. Subsequently, a cool, peculiar force, seemingly formless yet palpably real, surged forth from the depths of his mind. This power was vast and mysterious, imbued with a sense of fluidity, as if he had extended a third, fourth, countless arms. Everything around him became clearer. He could even see the minute dust particles dancing in the air and perceive the turbulent primal energy fluctuations within his mother Venina, along with the faint metallic veins deep within the earth beneath his feet. Mental power. I have awakened my mental power. A storm of astonishment surged within Li Wei. Was it the absorption of that fleeting mental pressure emitted by his mother that triggered this? Could the realm value converted by the system truly activate hidden talents? Venina, too, keenly sensed the ephemeral, strange fluctuations emanating from her son and his momentary daze. Releasing Li Wei, she asked with concern, Xiao Wei, what is wrong? Suppressing the overwhelming joy within, Li Wei endeavored to manipulate this newly awakened force within his mind. His gaze shifted toward a corner of the testing ground, where a 100-pound alloy dumbbell rested. With focused intent, he concentrated. Silently, the dumbbell trembled slightly and then began to float, albeit wobbly, a full foot above the ground. What is this? Venina's pupils constricted to the size of pinpricks, her face transforming from excitement and joy to unparalleled shock. As an experienced war god, she fully understood the implications of this. A mentalist. Her son Li Wei, not only gifted in martial arts, had awakened as a rare mentalist? Good heavens. How many years had it been since a mentalist had emerged in the history of the Bolinas family? Even on a global scale, mentalists are exceedingly rare and formidable beings. Among their peers, mentalists are virtually synonymous with invincibility, dual cultivation, advanced martial generals. Mentalists, just awakened, yet brimming with potential. Venina felt as though her breath was about to cease, as immense joy and pride surged through her heart like a tsunami. She gazed at Li Wei, as if beholding a peerless treasure. Xiao Wei, you truly are, she stammered, overwhelmed with emotion. Li Wei gently set down the dumbbells. A look of bewilderment and uncertainty etched upon his face. Mother, I just suddenly seem to make things float? What is happening? This is mental power. My foolish son, Venina exclaimed, gripping his shoulders excitedly. You are a once-in-a-billion mentalist. The term genius hardly suffices to describe you. You are a prodigy, a marvel. She took several deep breaths, forcing herself to regain composure, her expression becoming gravely serious. Xiao Wei, listen. Your identity as a mentalist is far more significant and astonishing than your martial rank. Until you are sufficiently powerful, it is imperative that you do not disclose this. Otherwise, it could lead to catastrophic troubles or even threaten your life. What occurred today, particularly the mental power, must not be revealed to anyone except your father and me. Do you understand? Li Wei, observing his mother's serious demeanor, nodded earnestly. I understand, mother. Yet, inside, he was elated. A mentalist? It appeared his abilities were even more formidable than he had envisioned. Not only could he absorb damage to level up, but he could also unlock latent potential. Venina looked at her son, her eyes sparkling with anticipation as if she could already glimpse the resplendent future of their family. She promptly retrieved her communication watch. Speaking with an unprecedented urgency, Yao, return immediately. Right now, a monumental event has transpired at home. It concerns our son, and it is splendid news. No, it is extraordinary news, beyond our wildest imagination. Hurry back. After ending the call, Venina grasped Li Wei's hand, her excitement still palpable. Come, let us await your father. Xiao Wei, remember, from this day forth, your world will be utterly transformed. Li Wei felt the nascent, powerful mental energy coursing through his mind, glanced at the realm value options on the system panel, and a barely perceptible smile crept upon his lips. Indeed, things had changed. No longer did he need to fear being crushed by Luo Feng. In the future, it might very well be a matter of who would overpower whom. His path to invincibility had gained yet another formidable trump card. Chapter 4. The Shock of the War God and the New Interpretation of the System. In the Family S Core secret chamber, the soundproofing and shielding were exceptionally effective, making it difficult for even god-level warriors to discern the happenings within. An atmosphere of tension and excitement permeated the air. Vulture Li Yao burst through the door, his towering figure exuding an aura of relentless vigor. His hawk-like gaze immediately locked onto his wife and son. He had been tracking a high-tier lord-level beast in the wilderness when he received Venina's frenzied, yet ecstatic communication, prompting him to expend his energy and return at the fastest possible speed. Venina, what has happened? What is wrong with Wei? Li Yao's voice was low and urgent, tinged with a barely perceptible worry. He scrutinized Li Wei, and seeing his son unscathed, even appearing more robust and composed, a portion of the weight in his heart lifted. Yao, look! Venina exclaimed, her excitement barely contained as she pointed to the center of the chamber. There, an enormous alloy safe defied the laws of physics, suspended in midair, slowly rotating, unwavering in its stability. Li Yao's pupils constricted sharply. As a formidable warrior with vast experience, he instantly comprehended the implications. Psychic energy, he gasped, turning sharply to Li Wei, disbelief shining in his eyes. Wei, you have awakened as a psychokinetic master. Yes, father, Li Wei confirmed with a nod. With a mere thought, the heavy safe gracefully descended to the ground, making not a sound. He exhibited remarkable control over this newfound power. Just moments ago, after assessing his physical data, he had suddenly experienced an awakening, reiterating to his mother the details of his breakthrough under pressure. Li Yao stepped forward decisively, grasping Li Wei's wrist, a more forceful yet exploratory surge of primal energy cautiously flowing into Li Wei's being. He attuned himself to this new phenomenon, his expression shifting from shock to elation, and then to grave seriousness. Advanced warrior, solid foundation, abundant primal energy, and this is indeed psychic energy, though still nascent. Its essence is extraordinarily high. Li Yao's voice became somewhat hoarse with excitement. Excellent, 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 he exclaimed thrice, suddenly releasing Li Wei and delivering a hearty slap on his shoulder, the force of which made Li Wei wince, though the impact was instantly absorbed, converting into a slight boost in his realm. My son, Li Yao's progeny, is indeed a prodigious talent, a dual practitioner of martial arts and psychic mastery. Li Yao could not suppress a hearty laugh, his voice resonating with pride and triumph. Though he and Venina were esteemed as warriors, they did not rank at the pinnacle within the global warrior community, especially when compared to figures like Hong and Thunder God, often feeling overshadowed. Yet, the emergence of their son filled him with boundless hope for the family's ascent. However, after the laughter subsided, Li Yao's expression swiftly turned somber, mirroring Venina's seriousness. He fixed Li Wei with a piercing gaze. Wei, your mother is correct. Your identity as a psychokinetic master is both your greatest asset and your most significant peril. It must remain utterly concealed. I understand, father, Li Wei replied solemnly. It is not merely a matter of concealment, Li Yao continued, pacing a few steps, his gaze sharp. Your rate of growth is alarmingly rapid, ascending from a junior warrior to an advanced warrior within a single day, while also awakening psychic abilities. If this news were to leak, it would undoubtedly provoke frantic inquiries from various factions. It may even attract the attention of Hong and Thunder God. Hong and Thunder God, the two most formidable beings on Earth. Li Wei's heart tightened. Indeed, his method of advancement was far from conventional. Before possessing absolute strength, being exposed to such entities too early could lead to unpredictable consequences. We must concoct a plausible excuse for your extraordinary adventures, Li Yao mused, suggesting that during an expedition in the wilderness, one might have unwittingly consumed an unknown celestial fruit or perhaps received the inheritance of a fallen powerhouse. This would somewhat account for the sudden surge in your strength and the awakening of your mental prowess. Venina nodded in agreement. Indeed. Furthermore, in future confrontations, little Wei must exercise discretion. His mental abilities should remain as a concealed trump card, while he faces adversaries openly with his martial prowess. The couple immediately commenced a meticulous plan to cover their son's anomalies, discussing how to mobilize family resources in collaboration, their conversation delving into intricate details. Li Wei, listening attentively nearby, felt a warmth within his heart. Regardless of how ruthless his parents appeared to the outside world, they indeed poured their genuine love and care into him as their son. Ah, little Wei, Li Yao suddenly recalled something, flipping his wrist to retrieve a palm-sized, silver-gray metallic sphere, riddled with fine holes, from his spatial ring, and handed it over. This is the 1000B Inducer, a unique training device that can also be employed for stealthy actions. Li Yao elaborated. Once activated, it releases thousands of fine bee needles made from a special alloy, possessing remarkable penetrating power, capable of effortlessly breaching the defenses of a battle general, and even posing a certain threat to a novice war god. The needles can be coated with anesthetics or poisons. It was originally intended for my own training and agility, but it is fortuitously now yours. Li Wei took the 1000B Inducer, its weight slightly surprising him, and his eyes sparkled with excitement. A training device, capable of breaching battle general level defenses, and it can be poisoned? This is not merely a training tool, it is a sustainable experience treasure trove. Thank you, father, Li Wei exclaimed, cherishing the device. Use it cautiously. Do not harm yourself, Venina advised gently, then added with a smile. But given your extraordinary defenses, I doubt you will be injured. Li Yao imparted a few additional notes regarding the foundational training of mental prowess. Although their family lacked a mental master, they possessed basic knowledge. Then encouraged Li Wei to return to his room to rest and familiarize himself with his newfound abilities. The couple needed to digest this astonishing news and refine their subsequent cover plans. Upon returning to his luxurious, technologically advanced room, Li Wei securely locked the door and eagerly began to explore his new toy, the 1000B Inducer. Following his father's instructions, he infused it with energy and activated the device. With a hum, the 1000B Inducer levitated, emitting a faint buzzing sound from the holes on its surface. In the next moment, swish, 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 countless silver needles, as fine as hair, shot forth from the device like a torrential downpour, instantly enveloping Li Wei in a storm of projectiles. The velocity surpassed that of a neural reaction test laser. Moreover, these bee needles possessed a unique rotational force, rendering their penetrating power terrifyingly formidable. Li Wei had no time to evade. Indeed, he had no intention of dodging at all. Thud, thud, thud. The sound of soft impacts, akin to raindrops, echoed as thousands of bee needles struck every part of his body with unerring precision. However, the moment all the bee needles made contact with his skin, their kinetic energy, penetrating force, and rotational power were instantaneously absorbed by the system. Those formidable bee needles, capable of turning an elite warrior into a civ, or even severely injuring a junior demigod, now resembled powerless raindrops striking an impenetrable barrier, losing all their strength and clattering harmlessly to the ground. Without even breaching Li Wei's skin, absorbed high-intensity penetrating attack 1024, converted realm value 3280. Warning, trace amounts of biological toxin detected, inactive, meets absorption criteria, commencing absorption. Absorbed biological toxin, inactive, converted realm value 5. The system's notifications chimed in succession. Li Wei gazed at the shallow layer of bee needles scattered on the ground. Feeling the surge of his realm value within him, his heart swelling with joy. Efficient. Exceedingly efficient. The realm value gained from this wave was nearly double that of instructor Zhou Yang's desperate punch. Moreover, this 1,000 bees attraction could be reused. He merely needed to reclaim the bee needles. This was indeed the correct way to accumulate experience. Excitedly, he manipulated his mental force, which spread out like countless nimble hands, precisely picking up each bee needle from the ground and methodically reinserting them into the orifices of the 1,000 bees attraction. Utilizing mental force for such meticulous tasks was remarkably effective. Once filled, he initiated the 1,000 bees attraction once more. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Clatter, clatter. Realm value 3,285. Refilling again. Once more. Realm value 3,291. This process repeated over a dozen times until his mental force began to feel fatigued, at which point Li Wei reluctantly ceased. In such a brief span, his realm value reserves surged by nearly 40,000 points. Delightful. Absolutely delightful. As he beheld the system panel displaying a staggering 41,805, 10,000 in realm value, he hesitated not for a moment. System, elevate my realm. Ding. Consuming 10,000 realm points, commencing enhancement of host's overall realm. An even mightier torrent of energy surged throughout his body. This enhancement was far more intense than the transition from junior warrior to senior warrior. His bones emitted a denser humming, his organs trembled and fortified, meridians expanded, and genetic primal energy surged like a roaring river. The mental force in his mind also swelled, becoming more solid and powerful. A sensation of breaking through barriers and stepping into a new realm enveloped him. Enhancement complete. Current realm, warrior level, pinnacle. Genetic primal energy, 51,200 kilograms of punch power, standard. Mental force, intermediate warrior level, controllable. Realm value, 31805, 50,000. Pinnacle of the warrior level. Just a step away from the demigod level. The mental prowess has ascended to the level of a mid-tier warrior. Li Wei felt the explosive force coursing through his body, yearning to rush out and confront a lord-level monster for practice. At this rate, it would not be long before he officially stepped into the ranks of the war god. At that point, even if his identity were to be revealed, he would possess a rudimentary ability for self-defense against the enemies of his parents or the initial forces of Luo Feng. However, he needed to exercise caution. Li Wei suppressed his impulsive desire to rush out. While the system had enhanced his realm and energy, his techniques, agility, and combat experience required practical honing. Moreover, he was utterly unfamiliar with the offensive capabilities of a mentalist. Gazing at the scattered bee needles on the ground, he looked at the 1,000 bee lure in his hand, a spark of contemplation gleaming in his eyes. Perhaps I could forego retrieving the bee needles? A more audacious thought emerged. System, if I remain stationary and allow the 1,000 bee lure to continue attacking me, can I command you to absorb damage from specific areas only, for instance, absorbing 99 of the damage while leaving a mere one of the stinging sensation or an exceedingly minor abrasion? Is it possible to control the absorption ratio in areas? He required authentic pain and pressure to sharpen his combat awareness, rather than relying entirely on the system's invincibility. Otherwise, he would possess great power, but merely serve as a punching bag. Ding. The system can accommodate the host's request for regional and proportional damage absorption control. Specific areas and types of damage absorption ratios, 0, 100, can be set. The system's cold response filled Li Wei with elation. Such meticulous operation exists. This system is astonishingly user-friendly. This implies that he could not only accrue experience without injury, but also actively choose to endure partial damage for practical simulation and training. It could even be employed for theatrical purposes, feigning injury. Perfect. Li Wei snapped his fingers, his gaze growing increasingly vibrant. His path to invincibility appeared to become more intriguing and controllable. Moving forward, he would not only level up, but also embark on genuine, practical training. The first training partner would be the unending reign of 1,000 bees. Chapter 5. The refinement of the 1,000 bees and the prelude to the wilderness. In the following days, Li Wei embraced a bittersweet existence of rigorous training. He spent the majority of his time immersed in his advanced training room, accompanied by the 1,000 bee lure. With the system's refined control feature, he maximized his training regimen. Most of the time, he activated the full absorption mode. The torrential attacks of the 1,000 bee lure transformed into pure experience points, continuously flooding into the system. Although the gains from each instance diminished as his realm advanced, the accumulation was still substantial, and the efficiency remained commendable. Once the realm value reached a certain threshold, he would promptly ascend. The threshold from peak warrior to war god level was a staggering 50,000 points, yet under the tireless barrage of the 1,000 Bs, it was not an unattainable goal. More importantly, he began experimenting with the partial absorption mode. System, set, absorb 99 of physical impact across the entire body, retaining 1 of the impact pain. The skin's surface defense has been reduced to the bare minimum, simulating the sensation of being genuinely pierced, yet ensuring no actual harm is inflicted. Li Wei issued the command. Command confirmed. Regional damage absorption ratio adjusted. Whoosh. The 1,000 Bs induction was activated once more. This time, the sensation was entirely different. Although the majority of the damage was still instantaneously absorbed and transformed, the retained impact, along with the extraordinarily realistic sensation of needles penetrating, felt as if countless heated needles were piercing his entire body. A sharp gasp escaped Li Wei as a wave of intense, concentrated pain surged through his nerve endings, causing cold sweat to bead on his forehead. This agony was far sharper and more unbearable than mere punches and kicks. His body instinctively sought to curl up and evade. Yet, Li Wei gritted his teeth, forcing himself to remain in place, resolutely enduring the onslaught of needles. He not only needed to acclimatize to the pain, but also to maintain composure amidst it, observing the trajectory of the bee needles, predicting their points of impact, and attempting to evade or block with minimal movement. Although he understood that these attacks could not genuinely harm him, he aimed to hone his combat instincts and reflexes in the face of real danger. With each activation, each bout of suffering, he endeavored to dodge amidst the searing pain. His mind was highly focused, pushing his dynamic vision, neural responses, and physical coordination to their limits. The fusion of a peak warrior's physical prowess and a powerful mentalist's perceptive abilities enabled his learning speed to be astonishing. From initially being able only to stand rigidly and withstand the barrage, he eventually progressed to slightly shifting his body, twisting, and avoiding the most densely concentrated attacks. From being overwhelmed by pain, he gradually learned to maintain clarity of thought and judgment amidst the torment. His agility improved at a visibly rapid pace under this almost masochistic training. Although he still had a distance to cover before achieving a refined level of skill, his foundation grew ever more solid, and his evasive maneuvers became increasingly efficient. Occasionally, he would switch modes. System, right arm region, absorption ratio 70. The moment the command was issued, the pain in his right arm surged dramatically. The simulated penetrating injury felt even more real, inducing the illusion of his arm muscles being torn apart, causing his movements to distort instantaneously. Not enough. Still not fast enough. In true combat, an enemy would not grant you time to adapt. Li Wei growled, gritting his teeth against the excruciating pain in his right arm as he continued to move. In this unpredictable experience of harm, his bodily memory and crisis response abilities were being relentlessly forged. Simultaneously, he did not neglect his mental cultivation. While enduring the physical onslaught of the 1,000 Bs induction, he deftly manipulated several bee needles, executing intricate maneuvers in midair, weaving complex patterns, penetrating swiftly moving targets, and even attempting to control an increasing number of bee needles simultaneously. Multitasking, dual lines of enhancement. The effects of this extreme, demanding training were evidently profound. Days later, Ding consumed 50,000 boundary points, commencing the enhancement of the host's comprehensive realm. A tremendous energy surged within him like a tsunami, marking a transformation far more intense than any prior experience. The quality and quantity of his genetic primal energy leapt to unprecedented heights, enhancing the vitality of his bodily cells to a new echelon. The density of his bones, the strength of his muscles, and the functions of his internal organs were all comprehensively fortified. The reservoir of mental power in his mind expanded several-fold, becoming more refined and wielded with precision. The invisible barrier that had troubled countless warrior-level fighters was effortlessly breached by the torrent of overwhelming strength. Enhancement complete. Current realm, God of War, beginner. Genetic primal energy, kilogram punch force, standard. Mental power, advanced warrior level, controllable. Realm value, 8653, 100,000. A God of War. Li Wei opened his eyes with great vigor, his gaze sparkling with brilliance, as an invisible wave of energy rolled around him, momentarily stagnating the air in the training room. A profound sense of power filled his being, signifying a transcendence in the essence of life itself, a feeling akin to a complete metamorphosis. With a mere thought, his advanced warrior-level mental power surged forth, instantly lifting all the scattered bee needles, approximately several thousand, in the training room, which began to rotate around him like loyal soldiers, glinting with a cold metallic sheen. The quantity and precision of his mental manipulation had significantly increased once more. At last, he had become a God of War. Li Wei clenched his fists, feeling the terrifying power coursing within him, his spirit soaring. How much time had passed since his arrival? He had already stepped into the upper echelons of martial artists on Earth, although he was merely a beginner God of War. With the system's ability to absorb damage and his identity as a mental power practitioner, his actual combat prowess was sufficient to overpower most intermediate gods of war. and he could even contend with higher-tier gods of war. Just then, the communicator in the training room buzzed, and his father, Li Yao's voice echoed, "Xiao Wei, come to the study." In the study, Li Yao and Venina gazed at their son, who, though exuding a restrained aura, emanated an inscrutable depth. Their eyes brimmed with admiration and astonishment. Although they could not precisely discern Li Wei's specific realm, the system had a concealing effect. They sensed he had grown significantly stronger since a few days prior, marking a qualitative change. "Xiao Wei, we have arranged the background for your extraordinary encounter." Li Yao spoke solemnly. 3 days from now, the family will publicly announce that during a family training expedition in City 003, you inadvertently stumbled upon a dilapidated entrance to an ancient civilization's ruins. Although you could not delve deeply, you were fortunate enough to receive a subtle baptism from the energy leakage of the ruins and discovered an ancient fruit that can slightly enhance mental power potential. Venina interjected. This way, your sudden surge in strength and awakening as a mental power practitioner will have a relatively reasonable explanation. Although still astonishing, it will remain within the acceptable bounds of a fortuitous encounter, preventing it from appearing excessively monstrous and inciting others to pursue you at all costs. Li Wei nodded, appreciating his parents' thoughtful considerations. The ancient civilization's ruins and the mysterious fruit indeed provided the best cover for the existence of the system. However, Li Yao shifted the tone of his discourse, adopting a grave demeanor. Merely making a verbal announcement was insufficient. What was required was a spectacle, a performance for all to witness. A performance? Li Wei inquired, puzzled. Indeed, Venina elucidated, you must truly venture to City 003, where you will endure a perilous adventure. Returning with tales of fortuitous encounters. We shall arrange for an elite family squad to accompany you, discreetly disseminating information about your endeavor. In due course, many will be keenly observing your actions. A glimmer of cold light flickered in Li Yao's eyes. Furthermore, we shall orchestrate certain unforeseen events, such as encountering formidable beast hordes or being ambushed by unidentified foes. You must demonstrate the strength and fortitude befitting your new identity amidst these tribulations, sustaining just the right amount of injury, ultimately achieving a successful escape. This performance must be convincingly authentic. Upon hearing this, Li Wei's eyes brightened with excitement. Venture to City 003, the so-called City of Demons, teeming with monsters, where lord-level beings are commonplace, and perhaps even royal-grade beasts lurk. Encountering beast hordes? Being attacked by enemies? This was no mere adventure. It was a herald of abundant experience points. What better sources of damage could there be than monsters and adversaries? As for sustaining injuries, with the system in place, he could endure multiple wounds without issue. Absolutely realistic. Father, mother, I understand. Li Wei suppressed his exhilaration, his face adopting an appropriate expression of tension and resolve. I will execute this performance flawlessly. You shall not be disappointed. Observing his son, who was eager yet striving to maintain composure, Li Yao and Venina exchanged satisfied glances, their hearts swelling with pride. Their son not only possessed extraordinary talent, but also demonstrated remarkable resilience. He was indeed a worthy heir. Excellent, Li Yao nodded. In the next 3 days, prepare diligently and familiarize yourself with your newly augmented powers. This will be your first true wilderness training. Although we will provide covert protection, City 003 is fraught with peril. You must exercise caution at all times. Yes, father. Upon exiting the study, Li Wei's spirits soared. City 003. The City of Demons. The very locale where Luo Feng's rise transpired in the original narrative. He was not only destined to accrue experience there, but also to personally witness the legendary and treacherous city. Moreover, according to the timeline of the original work, Luo Feng should still be diligently cultivating in the Jiangnan base city, perhaps already beginning to distinguish himself, yet still some time away from arriving at City 003. Would he encounter him prematurely? A hint of hopeful anticipation curled at the corners of Li Wei's lips. Of course, for now, his priority was to focus on nurturing his own development. Acting was one thing, accumulating experience was another. There was no immediate need to provoke the protagonist. His urgent goal was to leverage this performance as a seamless process for enhancing his strength and to accumulate realm points with fervor, propelling himself towards a higher level. System. Open the panel. Host. Li Wei. Realm. God of War level. Beginner. Genetic original energy. Kilogram punch force. Mental force. Advanced battle general level. Threshold. 8653, 100,000. Abilities. Damage absorption. Indiscriminate. Adjustable. Energy conversion. Gazing upon the staggering requirement of 100,000 points for the next level, Li Wei felt not a shred of discouragement. Rather, his fighting spirit soared. 100,000 points. Monsters of City 003, are you prepared? Your fervor, I, Li Wei, shall embrace fully. The prelude to the wilderness is about to commence. His invincible journey shall take a resolute step forward. Chapter 6. Arrival in the Demon City and the Beast-Tide Feast. 3 days later, all preparations were complete. At the northern military supply base of Jiangnan Bay City, a cerulean triangular warplane descended slowly, capturing the attention of numerous martial artists within the base. This was the war god-level exclusive aircraft of the Paulinus family, and its mere presence signified the extraordinary. As the hatch opened, Li Wei emerged, surrounded by a cadre of formidable martial artists. clad in H-Series combat attire. Bearing a hexagonal shield and a Bloodshadow Warblade, standard issue, for show, his gaze was sharp, and his demeanor austere. Exuding the air of an elite scion from a prestigious family embarking on a journey of training. He deliberately suppressed his aura to the peak level of a senior warrior, ensuring he appeared distinguished without being overly intimidating. The squad comprised 6 members, led by a seasoned warrior named Qin Feng, a loyal confidant cultivated by the family's collateral line. The remaining 5 were all junior warriors, forming a luxurious lineup capable of dominating the outskirts of City 003. Their orders were to escort young Master Li Wei for a special training expedition, meticulously documenting the experience while ensuring he encountered preordained dangers. Within the supply base, various factions had already caught wind of the news, discreetly disseminating word of the Polina's family heir's high-profile venture into City 003 for training. In no time, the atmosphere thickened with intrigue. Without lingering, the squad transitioned to a modified heavy armored off-road vehicle, roaring forth through the military district's gates, heading towards the dilapidated urban silhouette that lay sprawled across the horizon like an ancient behemoth. As they neared City 003, the air grew increasingly saturated with bloodlust and foreboding. The shattered skyscrapers loomed like tombstones of giants, while weeds and vines thrived wildly among the ruins, punctuated by the distant, chilling roars of monstrous beasts. Young Master, we are about to enter the outskirts of City 003, Captain Qin Feng stated cautiously while navigating the vehicle. According to our plan, we shall make our way to the C-12 area, where we have prepared an entrance to an archaeological site. Along the way, we will unexpectedly encounter a mixed beast horde comprised of ironclad bullmen and shadow cats, numbering around 50, with the strongest being a leader-level high beast general. Understood. Li Wei sat in the back seat, his gaze sweeping through the window at the desolate and perilous world outside, devoid of fear, but brimming with uncontainable excitement. In his perception, he could already sense countless life forces, both strong and weak, concealed within the shadows of the ruins. This was the true essence of the star-eating world. Dangerous, yet teeming with opportunities. The off-road vehicle crushed the fragmented roadway, advancing into the city's periphery. As the vehicle maneuvered around a partially collapsed shopping center, a thunderous bellow erupted, reverberating like a clap of thunder, causing the ground to tremble slightly. Suddenly, from the debris of a side street, a formidable herd of colossal bulls, their bodies cloaked in dark greenish scales, surged forth. Their eyes burned a fiery red, nostrils exhaling white vapor, and their massive horns glimmered with a metallic sheen. Simultaneously, amidst the ruins of the shattered buildings, dozens of shadows darted forth like specters, moving with astonishing speed. These were the infamous and agile shadow cats. Beasts, prepare for battle. Qin Feng bellowed, abruptly slamming on the brakes, the vehicle screeching in protest. The team members responded with remarkable swiftness, seizing their weapons and leaping from the vehicle, forming a defensive formation around Li Wei. Tension and gravity marked their faces, yet deep within their gazes lay a flicker of understanding that their plan was unfolding as intended. Master, be cautious. It's the ironclad bulls and shadow cats. There are many of them. Qin Feng urged anxiously, parrying a lunging shadow cat with his blade. The herd charged forth with a deafening roar, the ground trembling beneath them, shadows swirling, and a menacing aura enveloping the air. Li Wei inhaled deeply, drawing forth his Bloodshadow battle blade. Far from displaying fear, his eyes shone with the glint of a hunter spotting his prey. Kill, he whispered, not hiding among his protectors, but instead dashing forward first. The immense force of a top-tier warrior surged forth, his speed reaching its zenith, conjuring a whirlwind in his wake. Master, Qin Feng and the others gasped in shock. This was not how their plan was supposed to unfold. The Master was meant to fight alone only after they valiantly held off the beasts and were inadvertently scattered. Yet Li Wei charged into the fray like a tiger descending a mountain. One ironclad bull lowered its head, hurtling toward him with enough force to demolish walls. Its sharp horns were poised to pierce his chest. Qin Feng and the others felt their hearts leap in terror, just as the horns were about to make contact. A notification resonated, absorbing physical impact, elementary beast general level. Conversion of realm value 185. Li Wei's form momentarily stilled, feeling the faint residual impact after absorbing 999. Yet his Bloodshadow battle blade traced a chilling arc. With precision, he struck, cleaving through the gap in the scales and severing the ironclad bull's thick neck. Blood gushed forth like a fountain, and the beast's once vibrant eyes dulled as it crashed to the ground. A single strike to annihilate an elementary beast general. Such formidable strength. Such precise technique. Qin Feng and the others watched, agape. The Master's prowess seemed to far exceed their expectations. At that moment, 3 or 4 shadow cats, like bolts of black lightning, lunged at Li Wei from various angles, their claws aimed at his throat and vital points. As if he had eyes behind him, Li Wei executed a slight, ghostly pivot, narrowly evading the majority of the attacks, though one claw found its mark. Raking across his arm, the sound of fabric tearing echoed as his combat suit was slashed open. Absorbing physical tearing attacks, medium beast general level. Conversion realm value, 220. Simulating skin abrasions, slight pain transmission. A searing pain coursed through Li Wei's arm, with a trickle of blood seeping out, simulated effect by the system. He let out a muffled grunt and retaliated with a swift strike, cleaving the shadow cat that had harmed him into midair. The battle escalated instantly. Li Wei moved through the throng of beasts like an unyielding machine of slaughter. His swordplay was succinct, efficient, and lethal. Each evasive maneuver was impeccably timed, and every strike assuredly drew blood. He did not rely solely on the system's invincibility. Deliberately controlling the absorption ratio, he retained a portion of the impact and pain, simulating his skin's defense to a level befitting a battle general. He was utilizing these monsters to fervently hone his agility, swordsmanship, and combat awareness. The onslaught of the beast horde came like a tempest, with claws, horns, and sweeping tails relentlessly inflicting various forms of harm upon him. Absorbing energy shock, mighty bull roar. Conversion realm value 15. Absorbing physical claw strikes, high beast general level shadow cat. Conversion realm value 355. Absorbing toxin erosion, weak toxin from shadow cat claws. Conversion realm value 8. The system's notifications resonated in his mind like the most exquisite symphony, as his realm value soared at an unprecedented pace. Qin Feng and the others had long since engaged in battle, their eyes wide with astonishment as they beheld their young master. Akin to a god of war amidst the beasts, the ferocity of the young master's fighting style was overwhelming. It was a true exchange of injury for life. Yet, they soon realized that although the young master seemed to encounter peril repeatedly, sustaining new wounds at intervals, his aura grew increasingly formidable, his movements more fluid, and his efficiency in slaughter ever higher. Those wounds appeared merely superficial, having no discernible impact on his combat prowess. Was the young master practicing his swordplay against these monsters? A thought surged through the minds of all the guards, evoking immense awe and admiration. To dare to train amidst such a dangerous horde of beasts was a testament to unparalleled confidence and daring. The battle persisted for less than 10 minutes. Over 50 monsters, including the high beast general-level ironclad bull leader, lay lifeless upon the ground, the blood staining vast areas of the ruins. Li Wei stood amidst the sea of corpses, propping his sword as he breathed lightly, feigning exhaustion. His battle attire tattered and stained with blood, mostly from the monsters, with a small amount simulated by the system. Yet his gaze shone with an unsettling brightness. In such a brief span, his realm value had surged by nearly 20,000 points, faster than grinding for days at home with the 1,000 bees. Young master, are you alright? Qin Feng and the others hurried forward. Concern etched on their faces as they examined Li Wei's wounds. I'm fine, just superficial injuries. Li Wei waved his hand dismissively, feeling the surging power within him and the rapidly increasing realm value, his eyes lingering on the fallen monster materials. Let us gather the valuable materials and press on. Press on? Qin Feng was momentarily taken aback. Young master, according to the plan, after we encounter the beast horde, you should sustain an injury, after which we would retreat to the designated location. The plan has changed, Li Wei interjected, his gaze fixed deep within the city, where the presence of more powerful monsters loomed. This minor skirmish is insufficient. I crave genuine pressure to better assimilate this fortuitous encounter, do I not? A subtle smile played at the corners of his mouth. Acting, what could be more significant than accruing experience? With such a splendid opportunity, how could I not thoroughly scour the outskirts of City 003 to justify my journey? Qin Feng, observing the young master's resolute expression and the fierce aura emanating from him, which bore the marks of a recent bloodbath, instinctively swallowed hard and nodded. Yes, yes. Young master. He was inwardly astonished. This young master was likely even more reckless and formidable than the lord and lady had imagined. The team swiftly gathered the most valuable materials and boarded the off-road vehicle. Under Li Wei's direction, they abandoned the preordained path to Zone C12 and instead ventured toward the areas where the roars of monsters were more concentrated and perilous. Li Wei, seated in the vehicle, closed his eyes to rest, though in truth he was observing the influx of realm points accumulating within the system panel, filled with anticipation. This was merely an appetizer. The true banquet of the beast tide lay ahead. His journey in City 003 was destined to unfold far from anyone's script. Chapter 7. Tempered Steel and Thunderwing Dragons. The roar of the armored off-road vehicle's engine shattered the silence of the desolate outskirts of City 003, akin to a reckless intruder disrupting a tranquil graveyard, drawing forth the enthusiastic welcome of more residents. Li Wei grew weary of adhering to the prescribed narrative. He commanded Qin Feng to steer the vehicle boldly toward the areas where the roars of monsters were most concentrated and the energy fluctuations most intense. For an ordinary squad of battle generals, this would be tantamount to signing their own death warrant. Yet for Li Wei, equipped with a damage absorption system, this was a perfect arena for leveling up and an experience reservoir. In the ensuing days, this small convoy became the most volatile element in the outskirts of City 003. They no longer cautiously avoided the beast hordes. Instead, they actively sought confrontation. Heard a pack of tiger-hound hybrids barking in the distance? Charge forth. Sense the presence of predatory leopard cats amidst the buildings? Ascend the structures. Even upon discovering a suspected lair of 100-headed pythons at an abandoned subway station entrance, Li Wei did not hesitate to lead the charge inside. Combat ensued, an unending cascade of conflict. Li Wei fully transformed into a battle maniac. Always at the forefront of the fray, his combat style grew increasingly wild and efficient. The Bloodshadow battle blade danced in his hands. No longer merely a tool for slashing, but a synthesis of the extreme evasion and precision strikes honed over the days spent amidst the swarming adversaries. He no longer pursued complete invulnerability. Rather, he actively manipulated the system, experiencing varying levels and types of damage. At times, he would command the system to absorb only 90 of the impact, bracing his body against the ferocious blows of beast generals, thereby forging the strength of his internal organs and the resilience of his bones, feeling the trajectory of power transfer and seeking the optimal moment for counterattack. At times, he would completely relinquish his skin's defenses against sharp instrument injuries, allowing the minions of the monsters to laboriously tear through his combat attire, leaving behind a series of wounds that appeared harrowing yet were, in truth, merely superficial. The sanguine spectacle not only deceived his comrades, but also misled the bloodthirsty creatures, inciting them to attack this seemingly injured prey with fervor. He even ventured to inhale the toxic mist exhaled by certain beasts, laden with paralysis or corrosive venom, permitting the system to absorb and transform the majority while retaining a faint trace of its effects, thereby experiencing the toxin's impact on his nerves and muscles, thus honing his resistance. Under this nearly frenzied regimen of self-inflicted torment, his combat experience amassed at a terrifying pace. His swordsmanship shed its final vestiges of naivety, becoming shrewd and ruthless, with each strike aimed directly at vital points, exhibiting remarkable efficiency. His agility, sharpened through countless pounces, clawing shadows, and sweeping tails, became increasingly elusive, often narrowly evading fatal assaults. As he approached the threshold of mastery, the system's notification sounds had almost transformed into the background music of his battles. Absorbed physical impact, medium beast general level. Transformed realm value, 420. Absorbed laceration damage, high beast general level. Transformed realm value, 588. Absorbed corrosive venom, elementary beast general level. Transformed realm value, 65. Absorbed sonic shockwave, high beast general level. Transformed realm value, 155. His realm value surged, as if propelled by a rocket. Transitioning from a novice warrior to an intermediate warrior required a staggering 100,000 points, a threshold that would take ordinary warriors years, even decades, to surmount. Yet, for Li Wei, in just a few days, he was nearing perfection. Qin Feng and his teammates transitioned from initial terror and concern to eventual numbness and shock, ultimately becoming mere cleanup crew and fervent admirers of the young master. They observed Li Wei engage in bloody battles time and again, erupting near the brink of severe injury, vanquishing formidable beasts beneath his blade. The young master's prowess was simply unfathomable. His recovery rate was nothing short of monstrous. Those seemingly fearsome wounds often scabbed and healed after a single night of rest, vanishing entirely by the following day. System concealed merit and fame. They even began to question the authenticity of the fortuitous encounters arranged by the Lord and Lady. The young master's performance bore no resemblance to that of someone who had recently ascended through mere chance. Rather, it resembled that of a seasoned warrior who had battled in the wilderness for decades. Boom. Li Wei cleaved the head of the last high beast general-level giant strength rock bear, its colossal form crashing to the ground. He shook the blood from his blade, inhaling slightly, a habitual gesture, feeling the power within him nearing overflow. Realm value, 99876, 100,000. Just a fraction more. The relentless high-intensity combat and damage absorption had brought him to the cusp of becoming an intermediate warrior. Young master, the nearby beast horde has been nearly eradicated. Qin Feng stepped forward to report, his tone imbued with utmost deference. The most formidable among the primary Lord-level monsters in this region seemed to have sensed impending danger and had wisely retreated in advance. These Lord-level beasts possessed considerable intelligence. Although they were unaware of the exact nature of the threat, they instinctively felt the presence of an exceedingly fearsome entity, a merciless harbinger of death, prompting them to withdraw. Li Wei furrowed his brow. While the experience provided by the beast general level was significant, it diminished as one progressed, and to bridge the final gap, they would likely need to confront even more powerful adversaries. He lifted his gaze towards the deeper recesses of the city, where the heart of City 003 lay, home to truly formidable Lord-level monsters, with rumors of king-level beings even circulating. Let us rest for the night. Tomorrow, we shall venture towards District D, Li Wei commanded. District D lay beyond their initial plan's boundaries, with the danger level considerably heightened. Qin Feng's expression shifted, but upon meeting Li Wei's resolute gaze, he swallowed his words of caution, bowing his head in compliance. Yes, young master. As night descended, the team established a temporary camp within a relatively sturdy, partially collapsed building. The flickering campfire illuminated the fatigued, yet exhilarated faces of the group. Their recent gains had been substantial. The value of the monster materials they had collected was astronomical. Li Wei sat alone in a corner, eyes closed in deep contemplation, absorbing the lessons from the day's battles while simultaneously manipulating a dozen bee needles with his mental energy, engaging in intricate aerial weaving and dexterous maneuvers. As a high-ranking battle general, His mental prowess was more than sufficient to control these delicate needles. He was experimenting with more sophisticated attack techniques, such as simultaneously targeting multiple weaknesses or constructing a simple telekinetic defense network. Suddenly, a piercing, high-pitched avian cry, sharp enough to rend the very soul, echoed unexpectedly from the distant night sky. The sound possessed immense penetrating power, carrying a terrifying weight that enveloped the entire makeshift camp in an instant. The campfire flickered violently, nearly extinguishing. Qin Feng and the others turned pale, a primal fear gripping their hearts, rendering them nearly breathless. This is a Lord-level avian monster. Qin Feng's voice trembled with horror. From the sound, it was at least of medium Lord level, possibly even high Lord level. Avian monsters were notoriously the most troublesome and fearsome among their kind, dominating the skies with astonishing speed and unpredictable attacks. Li Wei's eyes snapped open, devoid of fear, instead igniting with an unprecedented brilliance. A high Lord-level avian? This was fortuitous. He instantly sensed a massive, violent, and frigid aura approaching at an alarming speed, far exceeding his expectations. Everyone, take cover, quickly, Li Wei barked, his figure flashing as he ascended to the rooftop terrace of the derelict building. Gazing up at the night sky, beneath the dim moonlight, a colossal shadow descended with astonishing velocity, its wings unfurled to an impressive width of several dozen meters, obscuring the sky and moon above. The feathers shimmered in a deep azure hue, their edges glinting with a metallic sheen. The tips of its wings stirred the air, producing a wailing sound reminiscent of thunder. It was the Thunderwing pterosaur, a formidable avian creature of the High Lord rank. Qin Feng, hidden beneath cover, let out a desperate exclamation. This monster was renowned for its speed and mastery over the forces of wind and thunder, displaying a ferocity so great that even high-ranking battle gods would find it challenging to confront. The pterosaur's icy, slitted eyes swiftly fixed upon the minuscule human on the rooftop, who exuded an alluring aura. It suddenly opened its massive beak, and a visible, highly compressed azure blade of wind coalesced in an instant, howling like a scythe of death as it sliced toward Li Wei. Before the blade even reached him, its fierce radiance had already etched fine cuts into the rooftop beneath his feet. The power of this strike far surpassed the cumulative attacks of all previous beast general-level monsters. Li Wei's pupils constricted, yet he displayed no inclination to evade. He even proactively removed much of the defensive simulation from his chest and abdomen. System, full power, absorb. He fervently shouted within his mind. Boom! The colossal azure blade struck Li Wei's chest with undeniable force. The terrifying energy erupted instantaneously, engulfing him in blinding azure light. The rooftop beneath him collapsed and shattered as if struck by a heavy missile. Master! Qin Feng and the others cried out in heart-wrenching anguish, their hearts plummeting to the depths of despair. To be directly hit by the full force of a high Lord-level avian would surely mean death for even a battle god-level warrior. Yet, within that cataclysmic azure light, a series of astounding notifications flashed before him. Absorbing high-density energy impact, high Lord level, converting realm value. Absorbing high-speed wind pressure cutting, high Lord level, converting realm value. A torrent of colossal realm value notifications flooded the screen. Li Wei stood firm, his form unwavering, as all the destructive energy, upon contact with his body, was devoured cleanly by the system, as if 100 rivers were returning to the sea. Only the violent winds caused his combat suit to rustle and his black hair to dance wildly. He lifted his gaze toward the Thunderwing pterosaur, which appeared momentarily stunned by the futility of its attack, a fervent smile curving at the corners of his lips. Delightful. Now that was a formidable assault. The Thunderwing pterosaur, clearly baffled by the scene before it, could not comprehend how its wind blades, capable of severely injuring opponents of equal rank, had proven ineffective against such a diminutive human. It let out an infuriated screech, flapping its wings violently as countless smaller, yet still razor-sharp wind blades rained down like a tempest, completely engulfing the area where Li Wei stood. Thud, 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 thud. The incessant sound of cutting filled the air as the ground was carved with deep furrows, enveloped in a cloud of dust, absorbing high-density energy impact, high Lord level, and converting realm value. Realm value has reached 100,000 points. Upgrade conditions met. Would you like to enhance? Enhance. Li Wei silently affirmed in his heart. A more profound surge of energy erupted from within, shattering the threshold of the intermediate battle god. His strength, speed, neural reflexes, primal energy quality, and mental prowess surged exponentially in every aspect. Enhancement complete. Current realm, battle god level, intermediate. Gene primal energy, kilogram punch power, standard. Mental prowess, primary battle god level, controllable. Realm value, 500,000. However, at the very moment he completed his ascension and felt his aura swell, an unforeseen anomaly occurred. Perhaps due to the violent fluctuations of energy during his upgrade. Or perhaps because the system absorbed and converted an excessive amount of high-level Lord S attack energy, a peculiar aura, extremely faint yet imbued with an essence that transcended the current tier, involuntarily leaked from Li Wei. This aura was not a manifestation of Li Wei's own power. It resembled a sort of impurity or residual wave generated during the energy conversion by the system, fleeting in nature. The thunder-winged dragon in the sky suddenly froze. Its cold vertical pupils remarkably revealing an unmistakable semblance of incredulous greed and desire. It seemed to have caught a whiff of the ultimate temptation in the world. No longer attacking, it fixated intently on the hazy figure of Li Wei amidst the dust, emitting a low, urgent call from its throat, a sound imbued with a blend of excitement, anxiety, and intense yearning. Simultaneously, in the deeper recesses of City 003, certain slumbering, far more terrifying entities appeared to be stirred by this fleeting and peculiar aura, producing a low, perplexed hum, their formidable consciousness sweeping invisibly across the area. Li Wei also sensed the anomaly of the thunder-winged dragon and the faint, fearsome gazes emanating from the depths of the city, causing his heart to tighten. What was happening? That aura, the system's cold notification, sounded once more. Warning. High-purity energy conversion fluctuations detected with minor external leakage, potentially attracting abnormal attention from high-level life forms. It is advised that the host vacate the current area swiftly. Li Wei's expression shifted slightly. Had he overstepped? Had he inadvertently drawn the ire of a formidable boss? And perhaps not just one. He gazed at the thunder-winged dragon, which had clearly entered a state of frenzy, while also perceiving the chilling consciousness from the city's depths. Not feeling fear, but licking his lips in anticipation. It seemed he could no longer afford to take his time. His gaze locked onto the thunder-winged dragon above. Then let us commence with you. Chapter 8. The emergence of mental prowess and the approaching storm. The greed and desire in the thunder-winged dragon's cold vertical pupils were almost palpable. No longer engaging in futile ranged wind blade attacks, it emitted a sharper, more piercing cry, its massive wings folding suddenly as if it were a descending dark-hued meteor, hurtling down towards Li Wei on the rooftop. Its claws, glinting with a metallic sheen, were poised to effortlessly shred through crow alloy. It sought to personally crush and devour this treasure, radiating an alluring aura. The dive of the high-ranking Lord-level avian was executed with such unparalleled speed that the resulting wind pressure was palpable, sweeping away all debris from the rooftop. Beneath the cover, Qin Feng and his companions were struck with sheer terror at this sight. The young master had previously withstood the razor-like winds using some unknown method, but now he faced the corporeal onslaught of a high-ranking lord. The force was incomparably greater. Young master, quickly evade, Qin Feng shouted hoarsely, driven by desperation to rush forth. However, in the face of this thunderous assault, Li Wei did not flinch. Instead, a glimmer of cunning illuminated his eyes. I dare you not to descend, he scoffed inwardly, his mind sharply focused. The psychic energy of a junior battle god surged with unprecedented intensity. Just as the claws of the thunderwing dragon were about to make contact with his head, he bellowed internally, now. Hundreds of bee needles, stealthily arranged in the surrounding air by his psychic force and now mingling with the dust, erupted with astonishing speed, as if manipulated by an unseen hand. Though the piercing power of these needles might be limited against the defenses of a high-ranking lord-level beast, their sheer number was overwhelming. And Li Wei's intention was not to kill, but to disrupt. A multitude of silver flashes, akin to a precision swarm, did not target the resilient feathers and scales of the thunderwing dragon, but rather, with uncanny precision, aimed for its most vulnerable spots, the eyes, ear holes, the delicate membranes beneath its wings, and a certain indescribable excretory orifice. The angles were devious, the timing impeccable, truly a masterstroke. All of the thunderwing dragon's attention was fixated on Li Wei. It had not anticipated that this diminutive human possessed such enigmatic tactics. It was utterly unprepared for these minute projectiles to so accurately locate its few weaknesses. A piercing shriek, twisted with agony and shock, erupted from the thunderwing dragon as it instinctively shut its eyes and jerked its head, flapping its wings in a frantic attempt to swat away the bothersome irritants, disrupting its dive and throwing its body off balance. Now was the moment. Li Wei surged forth. The power of a mid-tier battle god exploded forth. The ground beneath him crumbled as he rocketed skyward like a cannonball, not retreating but charging directly at the thunderwing dragon's slightly exposed abdomen. A result of its own disarray. There, the feathers were thinly spread, and the defenses were comparatively weak. The Blood Shadow Blade radiated with a brilliant gene origin energy, and with the full might of a mid-tier battle god, his strike exceeded 200,000 kilograms. It was infused with the ultimate intent to kill and the essence of blade mastery honed through countless battles. Die. A cold, ruthless blade light, akin to blood-red lightning streaking through the night, accurately sliced into the vital area of the thunderwing dragon's exposed abdomen revealed by its frantic wing flapping. The dull thud of the weapon-piercing flesh was enough to make one's teeth clench. Despite the Wind Thunder Pterosaur's immensely dense musculature and skeletal structure, Li Wei's strike, infused with all his strength and spirit, penetrated deeply, nearly eviscerating the creature. Scalding blood, brimming with ferocious energy, gushed forth like a torrential waterfall, drenching Li Wei completely. A thunderous, anguished cry erupted from the pterosaur as its colossal form writhed in agony, its wings flailing wildly, demolishing nearby buildings in its frenzy. It desperately attempted to ascend, but the devastating injury to its innards hastened its loss of strength. Li Wei gripped the hilt of the blade embedded in its bone with one hand while his other hand, fingers curled like claws and enveloped in primordial energy, plunged forcefully into its wound, anchoring himself firmly. He clung to the Wind Thunder pterosaur like a relentless parasite, refusing to relinquish his hold despite its wild thrashing. Simultaneously, his mental prowess manipulated the swarm of needles, continuing to assault its vulnerable eyes and ear canals, exacerbating its torment. Absorbing high-velocity rotational energy, high lord level. Converting to realm value. Absorbing residual wing beat shockwaves, high lord level. Converting to realm value. Absorbing high lord level blood energy erosion, weak. Converting to realm value. Even in such tumult, the system diligently functioned, transforming the pterosaur's desperate struggles into realm value. The scene was nothing short of breathtaking. A solitary human, akin to a deity of war, clung to the frantically writhing high lord-level avian beast, steadfast as a mountain, drenched in blood. Below, Qin Feng and the others stood in stunned silence, their minds blank, forgetting to breathe. The spectacle before them utterly shattered their perceptions of the battle between martial artists and monsters. Young master, he is actually tormenting a high lord-level avian creature? And in such a ruthlessly domineering manner. Is this truly someone who has only recently transcended to the god of war level? His combat prowess likely rivals that of a high-level god of war. The battle did not persist for long. With shattered innards and a torrent of blood, coupled with Li Wei's relentless mental interference and occasional blade thrusts, the pterosaur's struggles waned, its cries growing increasingly feeble. Ultimately, this formidable high lord-level beast emitted a final, unwilling wail as its immense body lost all strength, plummeting to the ground like a severed kite. Boom! The earth trembled violently, dust soaring into the sky. Li Wei released his grip just before impact, performing a graceful somersault and landing softly a short distance away, his form splattered with the viscous blood of the beast. Yet his aura intensified, becoming even more formidable. The Wind Thunder pterosaur had fallen, successfully slain the high lord-level Wind Thunder pterosaur, absorbing its dying essence, converting to realm value. Current realm value, 500,000. The system bestowed upon him one final bountiful experience. Li Wei exhaled a breath tinged with the metallic scent of blood, relishing the newfound surge of power coursing through his veins. The extraordinary feat of vanquishing a high-ranking lord was indeed a remarkable achievement, one that would astonish the world. Young master, Qin Feng and the others hastily approached, their expressions a mixture of awe and trepidation as they beheld the colossal corpse of the Thunderwing dragon and the bloodied but unscathed Li Wei, their voices trembling with reverence. As if gazing upon a deity. Gather the materials, especially the wing membranes, talons, and the heart's vital essence. Their value is unparalleled. Li Wei commanded with an air of calmness, as if merely performing a trivial task. Hurry, the commotion we caused was too great. He lifted his gaze toward the depths of the city, where the ominous sensation of being watched had intensified, becoming even more palpable. The recent energy leak from the system and the tumult of battle had undoubtedly attracted the attention of truly terrifying entities. Yes. Qin Feng and the others jolted to attention, swiftly retrieving their most efficient tools to begin dismantling the invaluable lord-level materials, their hands trembling with anxiety. However, just as they commenced their task, a profound, indescribable pressure surged forth, akin to a tangible tsunami, emanating from the very core of City 003, enveloping the entire realm in an instant. This oppressive force far surpassed that of the Thunderwing dragon, replete with an ancient, violent, and destructive aura. The sky darkened ominously. The air thickened, rendering breathing arduous, and sending shivers through their very souls. With a thud, Qin Feng and the others collapsed to the ground, their faces as pale as parchment, their eyes wide with despairing terror. A royal-level pressure? Qin Feng stammered, his voice laced with hopelessness. Li Wei felt an overwhelming weight settle upon him, as if an invisible mountain bore down on his frame. The power of a mid-level war god seemed insignificant in the face of such pressure. Alarm bells rang in his mind, though the system had not indicated any damage absorbed. The oppressive force stemming from a higher plane of existence was unmistakable. Indeed, a royal-level beast had been stirred. Moreover, it appeared there was more than one. In rapid succession, from various directions within the city, distinct yet equally terrifying roars and shrieks reverberated, as if responding to the initial wave of pressure, declaring their dominion over the territory. City 003 felt like a slumbering ancient behemoth gradually awakening, thrumming with the quivers of countless beasts beneath the weight of the royal-level presence, emitting low, anxious growls. Young master, we must flee. If we do not leave now, it will be too late. Qin Feng cried in sheer panic, knowing that once a royal beast was unleashed, chaos would reign over the entire city. Li Wei's expression turned grave. He recognized the truth in Qin Feng's words. They had stirred a hornet's nest. The awakening of multiple royal-level entities was no mere experience grind. It was a death sentence. Even if the system could absorb damage, being ensnared by a royal beast, or encountering more insidious dangers, could lead to catastrophic consequences. Resolute, he summoned his mental energy with fervor, swiftly gathering the most valuable core materials of the Thunderwing dragon that had just been extracted. Let us depart. Immediately retreat, at full speed, to the supply base. He grasped the nearly incapacitated Qin Feng and surged towards the off-road vehicle. The other team members scrambled after him, disregarding even the ordinary beast general-grade materials. The vehicle roared to life, its tires crushing the ruins beneath it as it sped towards the outskirts of the city with unprecedented velocity. Behind them, several terrifying presences pursued relentlessly, akin to relentless phantoms, and they seemed to be advancing. The monsters throughout the city began to stir. Distant rumblings of their stampede and countless roars echoed, as if a tide of beasts was forming. A sudden tempest of death was brewing behind them. Li Wei glanced back at the overcast and tumultuous city center, his gaze profound. King-level monsters, just wait. After I catch my breath, I will inevitably transform you all into experience packs. But for now, survival was paramount. The off-road vehicle reached its limits, hurtling through the dilapidated city streets in a desperate bid for hope. Meanwhile, the storm of destruction accelerated in their wake. Chapter 9. A frantic dash and the God of War's interception. The heavy-armored off-road vehicle pushed its performance to the brink, the engine roaring under the strain as it bounced wildly over the cracked and obstructed road, racing forward. Outside the windows, the decayed cityscape rapidly receded, blurring into a haze of gray and black. The atmosphere inside the vehicle was stifling. Qin Feng gripped the steering wheel tightly, veins bulging on the back of his hands. Cold sweat trickling down his forehead as he deftly avoided the sudden appearance of collapsed walls, fallen billboards, and panicked, low-level beasts fleeing in terror. The faces of the other team members were ashen, clinging to the handrails, glancing back in fear from time to time. Li Wei, seated in the passenger seat, wore a serious expression. His formidable mental power had already expanded like a radar, sensing the road conditions and life forces within several kilometers ahead. Directing Qin Feng towards the clearest path. Turn left, take that side road. There's a major collapse 300 meters ahead on the main road. Ignore the two beast generals lurking in the building on the right. Accelerate past them. 800 meters straight ahead, a small wave of rodents. Crush through them. His commands were clear and composed, providing the panicked Qin Feng with a backbone to press the accelerator with all his might. However, the true threat did not lie ahead, but rather behind them. The terrifying pressure, reminiscent of ancient behemoths, did not diminish with their flight. Instead, it pursued them like sharks sensing blood, drawing ever closer. The entire City 003 seemed to come alive. The ground trembled ominously, and the cacophony of roars and stampedes from countless monsters converged into a spine-chilling crescendo. The beast tide, a terrifying wave of beasts, driven by the pressure of king-level monsters, was sweeping across the city. In the distance, a towering skyscraper, dozens of stories high, collapsed like a house of cards, dust soaring into the sky. Through the haze, a colossal shadow with a serpent-like head and a single horn twisted amidst the debris, its cold vertical pupils seemingly locking onto the frantically fleeing off-road vehicle. Immediately, in the distant sky to the left, a vast, ominous shadow loomed, eclipsing the sun. It was a terrifying avian creature, its wings shimmering in a dark golden hue and surpassing even the formidable pterosaur in size. With each powerful stroke of its wings, it unleashed sharp gusts of golden air, reducing the structures below to mere ruins. From the right, a different, brutal pressure approached, accompanied by a bone-chilling metallic scraping sound, as if some colossal entity was violently clearing its path through the obstacles. At least 3 royal-level beasts. It seemed they were all drawn by that peculiar aura, converging from different directions. Yes, it was the unicorn python, and the golden-crowned thunderbird. On the other side, the ominous sound suggested the presence of the giant rock golem. Qin Feng's voice trembled, nearly breaking into despair. These were the infamous royal overlords of City 003, and the mere appearance of one was enough to trigger a level 1 alarm. Yet now, they had all been incited simultaneously. The intelligence of royal beasts was not to be underestimated. Although they did not comprehend the essence of that aura, their instincts urged them that devouring the small creature exuding it would yield tremendous benefits. They were moving with astonishing speed. We cannot escape. One team member cried out in despair. Li Wei's gaze was icy, his mind racing. Continuing like this, they would inevitably be caught. If any one of the royal beasts intercepted them head-on, even if the system could absorb damage, the terrifying impact would be sufficient to shatter the off-road vehicle in an instant, leaving Qin Feng and the others doomed. He might survive by relying on the system, but becoming encircled by royal beasts or a tide of monsters would yield unpredictable consequences. He had to devise a way to buy time. System. Analyze the energy wave frequency of the royal beasts behind us with full intensity. Simulate their pressure characteristics for directional interference release. The strength need not be high. It must merely induce a momentary hesitation or misjudgment. Li Wei commanded urgently in his mind. This was an application of the system he had just conceived. If it could absorb and transform, perhaps it could also simulate and release. Command received. Analyzing energy wave characteristics. Analysis in progress. Characteristic analysis complete. Consuming 1,000 realm points. A one-time low-intensity simulation interference can be executed. Proceed? Execute. Li Wei decided without hesitation. Realm points could be earned again, but if life was lost, nothing would remain. Commencing simulated release. Release successful. A feeble yet intrinsically potent pressure, almost identical to that of the unicorn python, suddenly emanated from Li Wei, rippling outwards like a wave. However, the target was not the real unicorn python, but rather the golden-crowned thunderbird soaring in the sky to the side. The rapidly approaching golden-crowned thunderbird abruptly halted, a flicker of confusion crossing its cold gaze. It sensed a provocative pressure of equal caliber and illusion emanating from the small creature below. And what made it more vigilant was that this pressure seemed to be directed at it. Was this the scheme of that foul serpent? In that fleeting moment of hesitation, its diving speed faltered slightly. Almost simultaneously, Li Wei issued another command. System. Simulating the energy characteristics of the golden-crowned thunder phoenix. Interference was directed towards the unicorn demon python. Consumption of 1,000 boundary points. Simulation release successful. A faint yet sharp aura, belonging to the golden-crowned thunder phoenix, skillfully bypassed its source and swept towards the ground-bound unicorn demon python. The massive serpent, crushing buildings in its path, paused momentarily, raising its colossal head, its crimson vertical pupils casting a dubious glance at its aerial adversary. What does that flat-haired beast intend? To monopolize? Or to draw away the calamity? Both king-level beasts exhibited a fleeting moment of hesitation and mutual suspicion. In these precious seconds, the off-road vehicle surged forward, finally breaking free from the core area of City 003, entering a relatively safer periphery. Although the tumult of beasts persisted, the suffocating pressure from the three king-level creatures behind, due to their mutual wariness and doubt, noticeably slackened, no longer pursuing with full force. There was an effect. They slowed down. Qin Feng exclaimed with surprise upon observing the scene through the rearview mirror. A flicker of hope blossomed within the vehicle. However, Li Wei's expression remained tense. The system's simulated interference could only be temporary. Once the three king-level beasts regained their composure or reached a tacit understanding, the chase would resume instantly. Moreover, this was merely the periphery, not an absolute sanctuary. Indeed, mere minutes later, the oppressive forces behind regained their ferocity, clearly indicating that the king-level beasts had realized they had been deceived, roaring in fury as they accelerated once more. The distance began to close again. At that moment, whoosh, 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 three brilliant streaks of light, akin to meteors, surged from the direction of the Jiangnan base city, moving with astonishing speed, darting over the off-road vehicle and unhesitatingly confronting the three pursuing king-level beasts with formidable presence. Following this, an authoritative voice reverberated through the area via loudspeakers. To the martial vehicles ahead, retreat, at full speed. This area is under the control of my extreme martial arts school. Unruly beasts. How dare you be so audacious? Retreat at once. The Thunder Martial School is here. Do not act recklessly. The human war gods had arrived. Three powerful high-level war gods. They were evidently reinforcements drawn by the extraordinary turmoil and terrifying pressure from the king-level beasts in City 003. It was the formidable war god Wang Tong from the Extreme Martial Arts School. Alongside him was the phantom war god Karen from the Thunder Martial School, and another, the rock war god Shiryu from the military. Qin Feng excitedly called out the names of the arrivals, all renowned war gods frequently featured in news and martial forums. Boom, boom, boom. An earth-shattering clash of energy erupted from behind. The three high-level human war gods unhesitatingly confronted the three king-level beasts. Primal energy radiance intertwining with the roars of the beasts, creating a terrifying shockwave that sent chills down the spine, even from a distance. The battle between war god-level powerhouses and king-level beasts ignited in an instant. With the interception of the three high-level war gods, the imminent threat of death diminished drastically. Salvation was at hand. Inside the vehicle, the group appeared nearly exhausted, slumped in their seats, gasping for breath, as if they had narrowly escaped the gates of hell. Li Wei also exhaled a sigh of relief, yet his gaze remained grave. Although the three high-ranking warriors were formidable, the prospect of vanquishing the three king-level beasts was nearly impossible. They could at best repel or obstruct them. Their peril had not been entirely alleviated. The off-road vehicle dared not linger for a moment longer and sped relentlessly towards the supply base. However, just as they were about to completely depart the outskirts of City 003 and the distant contours of the military district came into view, a figure clad in a black combat uniform and donning a silver mask appeared silently before them on a broken bridge, obstructing their path. The aura emanating from this individual was frigid and obscure, yet unmistakably laced with a palpable intent to kill. This murderous intent was not directed at the beast horde, but was precisely aimed at Li Wei within the vehicle. Another warrior of the highest caliber, and an adversary at that. Qin Feng abruptly slammed on the brakes. The off-road vehicle screeching in protest, halting 100 meters from the broken bridge. Who are you? Why do you block our way? Qin Feng called out, attempting to maintain composure as he pressed the window button. Although the opponent radiated an eerie presence, they appeared to be merely an elementary warrior, with the young master present. They might still possess the strength to fight back. The silver-masked figure did not respond, their icy gaze piercing through the mask, landing directly on Li Wei. A hoarse, deep voice resonated. Young Master Li Wei, your reputation indeed precedes you. To incite such commotion in City 003 and escape the pursuit of king-level beasts. The fortuitous encounters you have obtained seem even more astonishing than anticipated. Li Wei's heart sank. The newcomer bore ill intentions. With a distinct aim, to seize his so-called fortuitous encounters. How could the news have spread so swiftly? Or was it that other factions had been covertly monitoring him from the outset? The silver-masked figure slowly raised a hand, revealing a slender, shimmering battle knife crackling with eerie blue arcs, pointing directly at Li Wei. Hand over what you acquired from the ruins, and I may consider sparing your life. The terrifying murderous intent surged like a tide, enveloping the entire off-road vehicle. Just after escaping the shadow of death cast by the king-level beasts, they were now confronted by a human warrior intent on hunting them down. Li Wei narrowed his eyes slightly. Rather than fear, a cold smile crept onto his lips. I cannot yet contend with the king-level beasts, yet an elusive elementary warrior dares to covet what belongs to me? You seek my possessions? Li Wei pushed open the car door and stepped out slowly, the blood shadow battle knife pointed diagonally at the ground, his mental energy quietly unfurling. That depends on whether your life is sufficiently resilient. Chapter 10. The Silver Mask's Grief and the True Hunter. On the broken bridge. The atmosphere was steeped in a chilling intent to kill. The silver-masked figure's words offered no room for negotiation. Their naked avarice and murderous intent fixated on Li Wei. The battle knife, crackling with blue arcs, exuded a sharp aura that stung the skin, clearly not an ordinary weapon. The expressions on Qin Feng and his companions shifted dramatically as they swiftly armed themselves and disembarked, forming a protective formation around Li Wei. Although they were merely battle generals, standing against a god of war was akin to a mantis attempting to halt a chariot. Yet, their duty compelled them to stand firm, unyielding. How dare these scurrying rodents covet the possessions of the Belena's family? Li Wei pushed aside the guards before him and stepped forward, confronting the silver-masked figure from a distance. The aura of the intermediate god of war was no longer deliberately suppressed. It erupted like a drawn sword, colliding fiercely with the murderous intent of his opponent. Boom. An invisible wave of energy exploded between them, stirring up the dust from the ground. The silver-masked figure staggered slightly, the pupils beneath the mask suddenly constricting, flashing with a hint of disbelief. An intermediate god of war? The intelligence had been flawed. He had been informed that Li Wei had just recently ascended to the status of a high-level battle general, at most a novice god of war. How could it be that just a few days later he had leaped to the intermediate level? The effects of that so-called fortuitous encounter were horrifically astonishing. Following the shock came an even hotter lust for gain. Such a remarkable elevation meant that the value of that relic or inheritance far exceeded imagination. It must be acquired. What of the intermediate god of war? Just having broken through, his foundation is unstable, his original energy tenuous. Come to me and perish. The silver-masked figure suppressed his astonishment, letting out a fierce roar as his form instantly blurred, leaving behind a series of afterimages like a specter. His ghostly blue battle blade slicing through the air with a deafening crack, aimed straight for Li Wei's throat. The speed was astonishing. It was evidently a profound technique of movement and swordsmanship. However, under Li Wei's perception as a novice god of war, the trajectory of his movements was laid bare. Li Wei did not flinch or evade. Instead, he intentionally inclined his left shoulder towards the swiftly approaching blade. Young master, Qin Feng and the others cried out in alarm. A sinister smile flickered in the eyes of the silver-masked figure, as if he could already envision the blade piercing through the opponent's shoulder, unleashing the destructive force of lightning energy upon his body. Yet, at the very moment the blade tip grazed his combat suit, it was met with an unexpected turn of events, absorbing high-frequency lightning energy penetration, novice god of war level, converting realm value. Absorbing kinetic impact, novice god of war level, converting realm value. The anticipated scene of flesh and blood erupting failed to materialize. The blade tip, capable of rending metal apart, halted abruptly as if it had struck the world's most resilient rubber, coming to an instant standstill. The destructive lightning energy that had danced upon it vanished without a trace, as if swallowed into the abyss. The silver-masked figure felt an extraordinarily bizarre sensation travel through the blade, all his power absorbed inexplicably, sending a jolt of numbness through his wrist. What? The shock in his heart surged to a climax, just at the moment when his old strength had waned and new strength had yet to arise. Leaving him momentarily frozen in astonishment, Li Wei struck. His right arm moved like a coiled viper, the blood shadow battle blade arriving before the silver-masked figure. Wielding the terrifying might of an intermediate god of war, along with the extreme will to kill honed through countless battles over the past days, delivering a horizontal slash. The blade's light was chilling, swift as lightning. The silver-masked specter, engulfed in a palpable sense of mortality, unleashed his full potential, desperately attempting to retreat and defend himself. Yet, Li Wei's mental prowess had already silently commenced its operation. A dozen or so needles infused with primary battle god-level psychic energy, akin to invisible snares, deftly ensnared and hindered his movements. Though they failed to completely immobilize him, they succeeded in slightly diminishing his retreat speed. It was this minuscule difference that determined life and death. With a swift motion, the chilling edge of the blood shadow battle blade effortlessly sliced through the silver-masked man's neck. His head, adorned with a silver mask, ascended into the air, frozen in a visage of utter shock and disbelief. From the severed neck, blood gushed forth like a fountain. The head tumbled to the ground, the mask shattering to reveal the pale, unfamiliar face of a middle-aged man. The headless corpse swayed momentarily before collapsing heavily to the ground. A swift execution. In a mere encounter, a novice battle god-level warrior was decapitated by Li Wei with an overwhelming display of power. Silence. An eerie stillness enveloped the scene. Qin Feng and the others stood agape, their eyes wide with disbelief, their minds momentarily paralyzed. They had anticipated the young master's formidable strength, but never to such an extraordinary extent. That was a battle god, albeit not the pinnacle, yet a being transcending mortal limitations. How could he have been dispatched so effortlessly? Akin to slaughtering a chicken, Li Wei nonchalantly flicked the non-existent droplets of blood from his blade, maintaining an expression of calm, possessing both a system and mental prowess. It was only natural to annihilate a novice battle god who had underestimated him and acted on erroneous intelligence. He even deliberately regulated the absorption ratio of the system, relishing the tingling sensation of the electrical energy from the opponent's blade, enriching his damage database. Successfully eliminated a novice battle god-level human warrior, absorbing the dissipating fragments of their life essence, converting them into realm value. Current realm value, 500,000. The system's notification chimed, providing a substantial reward. Search him for any items that might identify him. Li Wei instructed the still-dazed Qin Feng. Yes, young master. Qin Feng jolted back to reality and hurriedly led his companions to cautiously search the corpse. Meanwhile, Li Wei approached the severed head, using the tip of his blade to pry open the shattered mask, scrutinizing the unfamiliar face, which left him with no recollection. This was not a character known from the original narrative. It appeared to be merely a pawn dispatched by some faction. Before long, Qin Feng returned, his expression grave, holding a palm-sized, entirely black, unmarked communication device. Young master, this is all I found. No identification, no warrior insignia, quite professional. Li Wei took the device, his mental energy probing into its intricate structure, discovering a self-destruct mechanism within, preventing further investigation. Humph, quite cautious, he remarked coldly, crushing the communication device in his hand. Clearly, the adversary had come prepared and would leave no conspicuous traces behind. Young master, this place is not suitable for lingering. The recent commotion may attract other entities. Qin Feng vigilantly surveyed his surroundings. Li Wei nodded, poised to issue orders for a continued retreat, when suddenly, his brow furrowed deeply. Almost simultaneously, a more urgent warning echoed in his mind from the system. Warning. Detecting an ultra-high-intensity energy reaction rapidly approaching. Target locked on host. Threat level, extremely high. Warning. Immediate full-scale defense recommended. A malevolent intent, far more terrifying than the silver-faced beings or even the previous 3 royal-class monsters. Descended with a chilling aura that seemed to emanate from the depths of the abyss. It firmly locked onto Li Wei. The ferocity of this malevolence caused the surrounding air temperature to plummet, and frost began to form upon the ground. Qin Feng and the others were rendered speechless, collapsing into unconsciousness under the weight of this overwhelming pressure. Li Wei felt every hair on his body stand on end, as if his heart were gripped tightly by an invisible hand. Was this an existence beyond the God of War level? A planetary-level powerhouse? No, that wasn't right. Although the aura was terrifying, it seemed to lack a certain completeness, resembling instead a peak God of War on the brink of planetary status, or perhaps even a half-step into planetary level. Suddenly, he looked up to see a minuscule black dot in the far-off sky plummeting downwards at a speed that surpassed the limits of visual perception. The velocity was despairingly swift, leaving no time for contemplation. System. Maximum power. All-encompassing absorption. Li Wei could only scream frantically in his mind, channeling all his mental energy to form an invisible barrier before him. In the next moment, the shadow appeared as if it had teleported directly above him. It was an elderly man clad in a plain gray combat suit, his visage gaunt, and his gaze as frigid as eternal ice. He wielded no weapon. He simply extended his hand towards Li Wei, delivering a casual palm strike. This seemingly effortless gesture appeared to siphon all light and energy from the surroundings. A gigantic hand, formed from an incredibly condensed black, primordial energy, materialized out of thin air. The intricate patterns on its surface held a terrifying power capable of shattering mountains and obliterating all that lay before it. The very space around it seemed to ripple and distort before the black hand made contact. The oppressive force caused the ground beneath Li Wei to collapse into a vast pit. The mental energy barrier he had conjured shattered as easily as paper. There was no escape, no means to resist. This was an overwhelming display of absolute power. Boom! The black hand struck firmly against Li Wei's chest. Time seemed to freeze at that moment, absorbing ultra-high density shadow energy impact, peak God of War level, half-step planetary level. Converting realm value. Absorbing destructive physical shockwave, peak God of War level, half-step planetary level. Converting realm value. Absorbing the essence of death's intent, weak. Converting realm value. Warning. Absorbed energy exceeds current instantaneous limit. Some energy temporarily stored in the conversion pool. The host's body endured an extreme impact, triggering the force protection mechanism and simulating a severely injured state. The boundary value surged, fluctuating wildly, momentarily approaching and perhaps briefly exceeding 500,000. An unfathomable surge of energy flooded into Li Wei's body, and even the formidable system emitted a faint hum of strain. Li Wei felt as though his body was on the verge of exploding, tearing apart, and vanishing. He coughed violently, spitting forth a mouthful of blood, a simulation by the system, as his chest visibly caved in, and he was sent hurtling backward like a planet colliding with him. His speed surpassed the sound barrier, crashing through dozens of dilapidated buildings behind him, ultimately becoming deeply buried beneath a massive heap of rubble. His breath became exceedingly faint, akin to a flickering candle in the wind. The elderly man in gray floated down, observing the direction in which Li Wei was flung. A flicker of surprise passing through his indifferent eyes. I unleashed 80% of my strength, yet he didn't disintegrate into dust? Quite peculiar. He stepped forward, as if traversing space in an instant, arriving atop the debris. His powerful consciousness scanned the rubble like a scanner, seeking Li Wei's lifeless body and any potential remnants. He was certain that no one could survive the impact of his palm. Even a peer of equal strength would be gravely wounded and on the brink of death. That boy must be reduced to broken bones and shattered organs. However, just as his consciousness was about to lock onto the faint breath deep within the rubble, a tremendous force erupted from several kilometers away. Though lacking the sheer magnitude of his own, it was far more refined and domineering, carrying an intent to obliterate all illusory obstacles, akin to a slumbering dragon awakening. Following this, a furious roar resonated across the heavens. Old Een, how dare you harm my son? Come and face your demise. A golden blade of light, imbued with a frenzied intent to kill, sliced through the air like a dawn that tears the heavens as it traversed several kilometers to strike at the elderly man in gray. Li Yao, the vulture, had finally arrived. Simultaneously, another chilling mental force, akin to the sting of a scorpion, stealthily lunged toward the back of the elderly man's head. Vanina, the scorpion, had also come. The elderly man's expression shifted dramatically, forcing him to abandon his search. He turned sharply, palms striking forth, coalescing into a massive black hand to meet Li Yao's golden blade of light. Boom! The terrifying energy explosion swept through the surroundings once again. Seizing this opportunity, from deep within the rubble that entombed Li Wei, a pair of eyes suddenly opened, clear and bright, devoid of any signs of injury. Li Wei sensed the overwhelming boundary value within him, nearly overflowing, alongside the system's prompt indicating a state of enhancement. A cold, manic smile graced his lips. Half-step planetary level. Truly a tremendous boon. System enhance. Provide me with continuous upgrades. Chapter 11. Continuous breakthroughs and the emergence of Luo Feng. Beneath the rubble and ruin, darkness loomed oppressive. Yet, within Li Wei, it felt as if a volcano was erupting with fervor. The terrifying power of the gray-cloaked elder, Een Laogui, temporarily stored within the system, was wildly transformed. A tsunami of pure energy surged forth, shattering every barrier in an instant. Ding! Consumed 500,000 realm points, commencing the elevation of the host's comprehensive realm. The barrier between the intermediate and advanced battle god was torn asunder, as if made of mere paper. Genetic primordial energy surged wildly. The strength of his body underwent rapid metamorphosis, and the level of his life ascended once more. Elevation complete. Current realm, battle god level, advanced. Genetic primordial energy, kilogram punch power, standard. Mental force, intermediate battle god level, controllable. Realm points, 1,000,000. Remaining energy continues to transform. Yet, this was not the end. The half-step planetary level strike from Een Laogui contained an overwhelming amount of energy. Ding! Continuous accumulation of realm points detected, fulfilling the conditions for further elevation. Commencing the enhancement of the host's comprehensive realm. The chasm between advanced and peak battle god, under this relentless surge of energy, groaned under the strain and was subsequently shattered open. The primordial energy condensed further, and the mental force surged, enhancing perception of the surrounding environment to an entirely new microscopic level. Elevation complete. Current realm, battle god level, peak. Genetic primordial energy, kilogram punch power, standard. Mental force, advanced battle god level, controllable. Realm points, 1,000,000. Energy still remains in abundance. A continuous breakthrough. From intermediate battle god to peak battle god in a single leap. The mental force simultaneously soared to the advanced battle god level. The overwhelming sensation of power threatened to burst forth from his being. Li Wei could scarcely contain a triumphant roar. However, he suppressed this impulse, focusing intently on the ever-increasing realm points. The benefits derived from the half-step planetary level damage were astounding, nearly equating to the sum of all his previous gains. Yet, just as the realm points approached the million mark, brushing against the arcane threshold of planetary level, the system's prompt echoed once more. Warning. Achieving planetary level signifies a monumental leap in life stages, necessitating the fulfillment of 3 standards: genetic primordial energy, body strength, and soul will, along with the comprehension of one's own domain's embryonic form. Current realm points only suffice for energy accumulation and cannot facilitate a direct breakthrough. It is recommended that the host accumulate sufficient realm points, then challenge the planetary level threshold through combat or introspection. Remaining energy has been temporarily stored. The realm points settled at an astonishing figure, far exceeding 1,000,000, yet did not yield a direct breakthrough. Li Wei understood. Attaining planetary level could not be merely a matter of energy accumulation. Comprehension of the domain was essential. Countless peak battle gods in the original narrative were trapped at this juncture, unable to progress further throughout their lives. Nevertheless, this was more than sufficient. Peak battle god. Advanced battle god level mental force. Coupled with the system's absolute defense, he was invincible beneath the planetary level. Even when confronted by genuine planetary-level adversaries, one might still possess the capacity to maneuver. He meticulously sensed the situation outside. In the high skies, the battle had reached a fever pitch. Li Yao, seemingly possessed by madness, wielded his golden battle blade with the ferocity of a tempest, each strike imbued with boundless fury and lethal intent, embodying a desperate fighting style. The golden blade light tore through the vast expanse, clashing repeatedly with Yin Laogui's ominous, pitch-black palm prints, erupting in ear-splitting roars. Meanwhile, Venina moved like a venomous scorpion in the night, her form elusive and unpredictable. Her formidable mental energy transformed into countless invisible spikes and shackles, incessantly disrupting, ambushing, and restraining Yin Laogui's movements. Her attacks were cunning and vicious, targeting vital points, forcing Yin Laogui to divide his focus. The couple's synergy was impeccable. One launched a frontal assault, while the other executed flanking maneuvers, momentarily suppressing the half-step planetary level Yin Laogui. Yin Laogui, today, I, Li Yao, will risk my life to ensure you remain. With bloodshot eyes, Li Yao roared, his voice echoing through the heavens. The uncertainty surrounding his son's fate had driven him into a frenzy. Yin Laogui's expression darkened, although he was stronger than either Li Yao or Venina individually. He found it difficult to secure victory against their reckless collaboration, becoming ensnared instead. Confusion churned within him. Having taken a direct hit from his palm, that kid, while perhaps alive, must be gravely injured or on the brink of death. Why were Li Yao and Venina acting as if they had lost their son? Had they not sensed that the boy's presence below had dwindled to near oblivion? Little did he know that Li Wei's faint aura was merely a deceptive illusion conjured by the system. Li Yao, Venina, are you truly willing to fight me to the death for a mere child? Yin Laogui barked, attempting to disrupt their focus. Even in death, my son will not perish. Venina retorted sharply, her mental energy assault intensifying. Just as the three-way battle raged on, a distant roar resonated. Yao. Roar. The growls of the three king-level beasts grew increasingly frantic and violent. They seemed to have extricated themselves from the entanglement of the three high-ranking human warriors. Or perhaps the warriors had intended to merely hinder rather than engage in a life-or-death struggle. At that moment, three terrifying waves of kingly pressure surged swiftly toward this direction. Simultaneously, the earth trembled more violently, akin to a stampede of thousands of horses. At the horizon, clouds of dust billowed skyward as a torrent of beasts. The vanguard of the true beast tide surged forth. Among them were numerous lord-level beasts. In the sky, a dense mass of flying creatures darkened the air. Like ominous storm clouds, the situation had instantly transformed into a realm of chaos and peril. Yin Laogui's expression shifted once more. Despite his strength, should he become ensnared by the beast tide alongside the onslaught of king-level beasts, compounded by the desperation of Li Yao and Venina, he would undoubtedly find himself in dire straits. Today, consider yourselves fortunate. I shall temporarily leave the treasures on that boy for another day. Yin Laogui feigned a retreat, forcing Li Yao back, and with a sudden burst, he swiftly withdrew, vanishing among the crumbling ruins like a specter, showing no hesitation in his escape. Yin Laogui, don't run. Li Yao attempted to pursue, but Venina intercepted him. Yao, we must find our son. The beast tide is upon us. Venina was in a state of profound anxiety, her mental energy sweeping across the ruins below, yet she could only sense the faintest breath of her son, causing her heart to wrench painfully. Li Yao, instantly alert, gazed at the approaching tide of beasts in the distance, gritted his teeth, and dashed towards the debris that buried Li Wei alongside Venina. The two frantically utilized their elemental energy and mental powers to lift the rubble. Xiaowei, hold on. Mom and Dad are here. When they finally unearthed the accumulated wreckage and beheld Li Wei lying deep within, bloodied and with a sunken chest, his breath barely perceptible, tears instantly streamed down Venina's face. Xiaowei, she lunged forward, cautiously attempting to lift her son. At that very moment, the gravely injured Li Wei suddenly opened his eyes, their clarity shining brightly, even adorned with a hint of a smile. In a swift motion, he sprang to his feet, his movements light and fluid. Betraying no sign of injury, he dusted off the debris from his clothes, and in an instant, his concave chest returned to its original state, the blood vanishing quietly under the influence of the system. Father, mother, I am unscathed, Li Wei chuckled, revealing that his previous condition had been a ruse. Otherwise, that old ghost would not have relented so easily. Li Yao, Venina. The couple was utterly petrified, their minds blank as they gazed at their vibrant son, their thoughts momentarily derailed. A pretense. He had endured a blow from a half-step planetary powerhouse. And it was all an act. The realistic aura of injury, the shocking wounds. All feigned. How could this be possible? You truly aren't hurt? Vanina trembled as she touched Li Wei's unblemished chest, feeling her worldview shatter under the unprecedented revelation. Indeed, I am fine. That old ghost attack was a bit special, and the relic energy within me absorbed most of it. Li Wei had to attribute the outcome to an imaginary fortuitous encounter, albeit with considerable energy expenditure. This explanation, while still ludicrous, seemed more palatable to the battle-hardened parents than the notion of invincibility through the system. Li Yao exhaled heavily, a wave of euphoria washing over him as he patted Li Wei's shoulder vigorously, contributing a minuscule amount of realm value. Good lad. You nearly scared me to death. As long as you are safe, that's all that matters. Just then, the vanguard of the beast tide was upon them. The ground trembled violently, and the roars of the monsters were deafening. Let us go. We must leave this place. Li Yao decisively seized the unconscious Qin Feng and others nearby. Vanina quickly regained her composure, her mental energy enveloping Li Wei. The family of three, along with several unconscious burdens, transformed into three streaks of light, racing at incredible speed towards the military supply base, swiftly leaving the surging tide of beasts behind. With the peak combat prowess of the couple and the extraordinary abilities of Li Wei, as long as they were not completely surrounded by royal-level monsters and the army of beasts, their escape would not be difficult. Soon, the towering walls of the military district came into view. However, just as they were about to reach the military gate, Li Wei's gaze inadvertently swept across a relatively safe area of ruins below. In a certain place, a seemingly youthful band of warriors was engaged in a grueling battle against several frenzied beast soldiers. The members of the team exhibited a lack of experience in their coordination, yet their eyes radiated unwavering determination. Among them, a young man, appearing to be of a similar age, bore a visage tinged with youthful innocence. Yet his gaze was remarkably sharp and composed. Clutching a Bloodshadow warblade, he moved with agility and executed his strikes with precision, managing to entangle a mid-tier beast soldier, the Tiger Mastiff, and gradually gaining the upper hand. The young man's brow and eyes, his focused demeanor amidst the fray, caused Li Wei's heart to race. It was Luo Feng. He had unexpectedly appeared at the outskirts of City 003, seemingly having just embarked on his journey as a warrior. Li Wei's gaze met that of the young man who had just beheaded the Tiger Mastiff, their eyes connecting for a fleeting moment in the air. Luo Feng seemed to sense the powerful aura that swept by overhead, instinctively glancing up, his eyes reflecting a flicker of reverence and longing for the might of a battle god, before quickly returning to his vigilant stance against the other beasts. Li Wei swiftly averted his gaze, his heart turbulent with emotions. It appeared that the narrative had shifted subtly with his arrival, as if Luo Feng's timing in reaching City 003 had been slightly advanced. Nevertheless, this was of little consequence. A faint smile tugged at the corners of Li Wei's mouth. He was now a peak battle god, endowed with advanced battle god-level mental prowess and the formidable advantage of the system. In contrast, Luo Feng was merely a fledgling warrior at the outset of his journey. The disparity in their starting points and strengths had grown immensely. Amused, Li Wei chuckled inwardly, anticipating the day when the future lord of the Hunyuan would rise. He hoped that when that time came, Luo Feng could bring forth some delightful surprises in terms of prowess. His figure quickly melded into the entrance of the military base with his parents, vanishing from sight. Below, Luo Feng seemed to sense something, lifting his gaze to the empty sky, pondering with a furrowed brow. Had he felt that powerful gaze linger on him for a brief moment? Shaking his head to dismiss such fanciful thoughts, he refocused on the battle ahead. At that moment, the trajectory of fate had subtly intertwined. Yet, who could truly predict the path that lay ahead? Chapter 12. Family Turmoil and Underlying Currents in the Jiangnan Bay City. Within the global headquarters of the Extreme Martial Arts Academy, a top-secret conference room was steeped in a tense atmosphere, thick enough to condense into drops of water. Hong, the strongest being on Earth, clad in black, appeared to merge with the shadows, his calm, yet commanding gaze surveying the assembly. Thunder God, the second most powerful being on Earth, bore a shiny bald head, his customary smile replaced by an unusual seriousness. Below, several corps inspectors from the Extreme Martial Arts Academy and the Lightning Martial Arts Academy, along with representatives from the military, were seated. In the realm of virtual projection, the figures of several chairpersons from the HR Alliance emerged, including the contemporary patriarch of the Polenas family, Yen Hai, the father of Vanina. At the center of the conference room's holographic display, a fragment of an exceedingly blurred and tumultuous scene was being replayed. It depicted the frontline warrior at the precipice of the beast tide outbreak in City 003, capturing sporadic glimpses at the cost of his life. The chaotic pursuit of three apex-grade monsters, the Unicorn Python, the Golden-Crowned Thunderhawk, and the Giant Rock Titan. The astonishing clash between Li Yao, Vanina, and a vague gray shadow, the old ghost Yin, and finally, the retreat of that gray figure as Li Yao and his spouse rescued Li Wei and fled. Although the footage was fragmented and the audio chaotic, the overwhelming energy fluctuations, far exceeding that of ordinary divine warriors, and the terrifying pressure of the apex monsters rendered the countenance of the powerful present grave. According to the analysis of residual energy in the accounts of 3 high-ranking divine warriors who intercepted the scene, Hong's voice was calm, yet carried an undeniable weight. The recent anomalous beast tide in City 003 was directly triggered by the 3 apex-grade monsters being provoked by an unknown factor. The indirect cause lay in the conflict between Li Yao, Venina, and a peak divine warrior suspected of being Yin Zhongjie, the elusive figure who had been missing for over a decade. Yin Zhongjie? That ancient being who had vanished for more than 10 years? A patrol envoy gasped in astonishment. Incredulous that he was still alive, and seemingly on the brink of planetary-level power. Why would Yin Zhongjie target Li Yao's son? Chairman Yan Hai's virtual projection furrowed his brow, his tone laced with dissatisfaction and confusion. The attack on the heir of the Polanas family was a direct affront to the HR Alliance. The Thunder God rubbed his bald head and interjected, stating, according to the report that Li Yao and Venina submitted later, they claimed that Yin Zhongjie came for the ancient civilization relic that their son, Li Wei, inadvertently obtained in City 003, seeking both baptism and the fruit of psychic energy. Baptism by relic? Fruit of psychic energy? A murmur of low discussion arose in the conference room. Indeed, Hong nodded. Li Wei's prowess has surged from high-ranking warrior to high-ranking divine warrior during this endeavor. He requested his parents to conceal the true extent of his peak divine warrior status. And he has awakened his psychic abilities with exceptional talent. They assert that this is the result of a fortuitous encounter. It was possible that Yin Zhongjie had learned of this through some channel and succumbed to greed. High-ranking divine warrior. And he has awakened psychic abilities. This revelation was even more shocking than the emergence of Yin Zhongjie. Expressions of disbelief adorned the faces of all present. In just a few days, transitioning from a high-ranking warrior to a high-ranking divine warrior? This was nothing short of a fantastical tale. What sort of fortuitous encounter could yield such terrifying results? And what was this fruit of psychic energy that could directly awaken a rare talent for psychic mastery? In an instant, the gazes of everyone grew complex, revealing shock, skepticism, and an undeniable fervor and greed. If this were true, the fortuitous encounter that Li Wei experienced would be of immeasurable value. How credible was the report from Li Yao and his wife? A military representative inquired solemnly. Hong replied nonchalantly. The enhancement of Li Wei's strength and the awakening of his psychic abilities are facts that have been corroborated by multiple sources. As for the specific process, only the 3 of them are privy to the details. It is indeed a fact that Yin Zhongjie attempted to seize control. At present, this appears to be the most rational explanation. He paused, casting his gaze across the assembly, particularly lingering on the several chairpersons of the HR Alliance, regardless of the truth. Li Wei is now a member of our human race, a rare genius. His fortunate encounters are his own destiny. I urge all of you to manage your respective factions and refrain from actions detrimental to our unity. The threat from the monsters still looms. And with the movements of the king-level beasts, this is not the time for internal strife. His words were calm, yet carried an immense and invisible pressure, awakening those who harbored greedy thoughts as if doused with cold water. The will of Hong was not to be easily provoked. Thor chuckled, his gaze sharp as a knife. I too find it despicable to snatch from a child. That old ghost Yin is behaving unscrupulously. When next we meet, I must have a serious discussion with him. The declarations from the 2 preeminent Earth champions effectively set the tone for the matter, acknowledging Li Wei's fortunate encounters and tacitly affirming his belonging, forbidding anyone from brazenly attempting to seize him again. After further discussions regarding the subsequent defenses against the beast tide in City 003 and the pursuit of Yin Zhongjie, the meeting was adjourned. The virtual projections extinguished one after another. However, the undercurrents did not cease. HR Alliance, in a private virtual space. Chairman Yan Hai's expression was far from pleasant. He glanced at another virtual projection beside him, a middle-aged man with golden hair and blue eyes. Exuding an air of nobility, Calderon Bolinas, another influential chairperson of the HR Alliance, uncle to Venina and granduncle to Li Wei. Calderon, how much of Li Yao's report do you believe to be true? Yan Hai inquired solemnly. Calderon's eyes flickered. Strength cannot be fabricated. That boy Li Wei has indeed ascended dramatically. As for the relics and fruits, there may be some exaggeration, but there is undoubtedly a monumental opportunity. That old dog Yin Zhongjie has the keenest nose. His intervention is enough to validate the value of those items. Having such a genius emerge from our family is, in essence, a blessing. Yan Hai's tone, however, carried a hint of chill. Yet I fear that this opportunity is too formidable, and the consequences are unpredictable. Can Li Yao and Venina protect him? Moreover, it seems they do not intend to share this fortune with the family. Calderon smiled slightly, though his smile bore a deeper significance. Elder brother, some matters cannot be rushed. After all, Li Wei is of the Bolinas bloodline. With the 2 masters having spoken, we naturally cannot act overtly. However, concern and inquiries from within the family are always reasonable, are they not? Especially considering that Li Wei has just endured great trials and requires rest and protection, does he not? A glimmer of sharpness flashed in Yan Hai's eyes, and he slowly nodded. Indeed, the family will dispatch the best medical teams and protective forces to attend to Li Wei. He has just undergone a significant elevation, and his realm needs consolidation. The family's secret methods and resources should also be made available to him. The 2 chairpersons exchanged knowing smiles. an unspoken understanding passing between them. The so-called care and protection, naturally, also encompassed close observation, probing, and even control. At the same time, across the globe, numerous clandestine forces, through their respective channels, became aware of the upheaval in City 003 and the meteoric rise of Li Wei. Shock, suspicion, greed, and calculation festered in the shadows. The name Li Wei, akin to a boulder cast into a tranquil lake, stirred tremendous ripples among the global elite and secretive factions. Everyone yearned to comprehend the nature of the so-called relic baptism and the extraordinary essence of mental prowess. Meanwhile, at the eye of the storm, Li Wei reclined leisurely within the medical chamber of his estate, feigning relaxation. His parents sat nearby, their expressions a mixture of lingering fear and exhilaration. "Little Wei," Li Yao remarked, "the masters have indicated that the overt troubles should be resolved." However, his brow furrowed slightly yet. "I fear the family and the HR alliance may not remain so tranquil." Vanina snorted dismissively. "They dare. Anyone who dares to harm my son will face my wrath." Li Wei chuckled lightly, unfazed. "Father, mother, there is no need for concern. We shall confront whatever comes, as the water finds its own path." He required some sparring partners to familiarize himself with his newfound strength. A flicker of barely perceptible anticipation danced in his eyes. Family care? Tests from other factions? Let them come, with all their might. It would provide a more diverse nourishment for his damage conversion system. He felt the peak warrior's power within him and the immense advanced warrior-level mental prowess in his mind, when a thought suddenly struck him. System. Can mental attacks be absorbed and converted as well? If I were to strike myself with my mental energy, would that count as damage? Ding. Mental attacks fall under the category of damage and can be absorbed. Energy impacts generated by the host with the intent to inflict self-harm meet the absorption criteria. Li Wei's eyes instantly brightened. I can even level up on my own. It seems there are many avenues to explore on this path of invincibility. Just as he pondered methods for self-inflicted training, the butler knocked and entered, respectfully reporting, "Sir, Madam, young master." The medical team and security detail from the family headquarters have arrived, led by Mr. Johnson, a trusted aide of Chairman Yanhai. Accompanying him is Ms. Erica, a confidant of Chairman Calderon. They bring warm regards and generous gifts from the chairman and request an audience with you, young master, to ensure your health and safety. Li Yao and Vanina's expressions instantly darkened. They arrived swiftly. Yet Li Wei sat up from the medical chamber, stretched languidly, and displayed a knowing smile. "Oh, have they finally arrived? Please inform them that I am well. I appreciate their concern. And do inquire if there is anything particularly formidable among the gifts they have brought." Chapter 13. The testing turmoil and the deployment of hidden pieces. In the reception room of the Li estate, the atmosphere appeared harmonious, yet hidden tensions simmered beneath the surface. Johnson, a middle-aged man with meticulously combed hair and gold-rimmed spectacles, exuded an air of scholarly distinction rather than that of a warrior, representing Speaker Yanhai. Erica, a graceful lady with an alluring smile, yet possessing a keen intellect hidden behind her mature demeanor, stood as the representative of Speaker Calderon. The so-called medical team and guards they brought remained quietly stationed outside, each exuding a formidable presence, clearly not to be underestimated. "Mr. Li Yao, Mrs. Vanina. We are genuinely relieved to see young Master Li Wei in good health," Johnson remarked, adjusting his glasses. His tone was gentle, yet unmistakably formal, indicating that the speaker was deeply concerned about the young master's safety, especially given the perilous circumstances in City 003. Thus, he had dispatched the finest medical team to conduct a thorough physical examination, ensuring no potential hazards lingered. Erica chimed in with a cheerful demeanor. Indeed, Lord Calderon was overjoyed to learn not only of the young master's safe return, but also of the extraordinary opportunities he encountered, resulting in significant enhancement of his abilities. He specifically instructed us to bring along some family secret tonics and energy crystals to assist the young master in solidifying his newfound strength. Furthermore, to ensure his absolute safety, this meticulously trained Shadow Guard team will remain at the estate, ready to serve the young master. Though their words appeared considerate and attentive, an undertone of scrutiny, surveillance, and control was palpable. Li Wei's expression remained cold, while Vanina's eyes betrayed her unmasked sarcasm. Yet, Li Wei smiled and proactively responded. "I appreciate the concern from both esteemed speakers. There is no need for a medical examination. I am perfectly well. As for the tonics and energy crystals, I shall accept them, and please convey my gratitude to my uncle. The Shadow Guard team may stay. The estate could indeed use some assistance with gardening." A slight stiffness crept into the smiles of Johnson and Erica. "Gardening? To have their meticulously trained elite Shadow Guards act as mere gardeners?" Johnson insisted. "Young master, it would be prudent to undergo an examination. Your recent enhancement has been substantial, and we are concerned about the stability of your foundation or any unforeseen side effects from the relic's energy. Our family's medical equipment is state-of-the-art." "I said it is unnecessary," Li Wei interjected, his tone remaining calm, yet an invisible, overwhelming aura characteristic of a peak warrior subtly emanated from him, akin to an undercurrent stirring beneath a tranquil sea. Momentarily leaving Johnson and Erica breathless, their subsequent words lodged in their throats. Their expressions shifted dramatically, eyes reflecting shock. A peak warrior. This dense and profound aura far surpassed that of a mere newly promoted individual. There was no indication of instability whatsoever. Li Wei reigned in his aura as if nothing had transpired and continued. However, since you both are so keen on my progress, why not accompany me to the training grounds? I, too, wish to assess my current metrics to dispel any notions that I might be exaggerating. His words were laden with implication, causing Johnson and Erica to feel a tinge of awkwardness, yet curiosity and suspicion prevailed. One of their primary objectives for this visit was to ascertain Li Wei's true strength. Of course, it would be our honor. They both promptly agreed. A group of individuals made their way to the family training ground, where the familiar punching power testing machine awaited. Li Wei casually positioned himself, even neglecting to summon his innate energy, and unleashed a punch solely powered by his physical strength. The impact resonated with a thunderous boom, as the digits on the display fluctuated wildly before ultimately stabilizing at an astonishing figure, nearly 400,000 kilograms of pure physical might. This feat placed him among the elite of advanced warriors. Johnston and Erica's pupils constricted, instinctively holding their breath. Next came the speed test. In a mere flash, Li Wei's figure darted about so swiftly that most onlookers could barely discern his movements, only hearing the resounding sonic boom. The result, 355 meters in a second. Once again meeting the standards of an advanced warrior. Finally, the neural reaction test commenced. Li Wei entered the testing zone, where the difficulty was set to the excellence level of advanced warriors. A hail of bullets and projectiles rained down, more dense and terrifying than before. Yet, Li Wei moved like a specter, his flawless agility on full display. Every attack was deftly avoided with minimal movement, and although a few unavoidable laser beams struck him, they dissipated instantaneously, leaving no impact. The test concluded with the evaluation, excellence level of advanced warrior, passed. Number of hits, 0. Assessment, perfect. Silence enveloped the room. A silence as profound as death itself. Johnston and Erica were rendered speechless, beads of cold sweat forming on their foreheads. They could hardly believe what they witnessed. Such a young advanced warrior. Such impeccable test results. This was beyond mere genius. It was monstrous. The effects of that fortuitous encounter were tenfold more terrifying than they had imagined. Though Li Yao and Venina were already aware of their son's significant progress, they were still taken aback and filled with pride upon seeing these exaggerated figures. So how do you two feel? Do you still think I need a health check? Li Wei remarked nonchalantly as he exited the testing area. Johnston struggled to swallow, forcing a smile. Young master, your extraordinary talent is a blessing to the Bolinas family. We were overly concerned, indeed. Erica quickly echoed his sentiment, her eyes flickering as she contemplated how best to report this situation. Li Wei smirked internally, knowing that his initial intimidation had been successful. However, he had no intention of stopping there. His gaze swept over the Shadow Guard team brought by Johnston and Erica, and he suddenly spoke. Testing alone is rather mundane. I've heard that Shadow Guards are the family's elite, seasoned in combat. Why not engage in a spar with me? Help me familiarize myself with my newfound strength. Johnston and Erica were momentarily taken aback, but a glimmer of joy crossed their faces. Practical combat was indeed the best form of assessment. They would have the opportunity to observe the young master's true combat prowess up close, especially that legendary mental force. Since the young master expressed interest, it would be their honor. Johnston immediately exchanged a glance with the leader of the Shadow Guard team, a stern-faced high-ranking warrior. The captain stepped forward and bowed. Captain Zhao Jia of the 3rd Shadow Guard team, high-ranking warrior, at your service, young master. Li Wei waved his hand dismissively, stating, one at a time is too cumbersome. You may all attack together. Together? The Shadow Guard squad comprised 6 members, 1 high-ranking warrior, and 5 intermediate warriors. This formidable lineup was sufficient to overwhelm a junior war god. Zhao Jia's expression darkened, feeling a sense of disdain. Both Johnson and Erica shared the sentiment that Li Wei was being rather presumptuous. Young master, this. Zhao Jia hesitated. What? Afraid of injuring me? Li Wei chuckled. Fear not. Unleash your full power. If you can merely graze the hem of my garment, I shall consider it a victory for you. Arrogant. Utterly arrogant. Anger flared upon the faces of the Shadow Guard members. They were seasoned veterans, having faced countless battles. They had never been subjected to such condescension. Then so be it. We shall take offense. Zhao Jia called out, urging caution. In an instant, the 6 dispersed, forming a battle formation and pouncing upon Li Wei from various angles like leopards. The clash of blades and the surge of energy erupted, their offensive striking with unparalleled ferocity. Li Wei stood his ground, even closing his eyes. The mental prowess of a peak war god spread like mercury, instantly enveloping every inch of the space within 100 meters. The movements of the 6 Shadow Guards appeared slow and clear within his perception. He danced upon the edge of a blade, moving with minimal motion, deftly evading their lethal combined strikes. Occasionally, attacks that could not be completely dodged landed upon him. Absorbed physical slash, high-ranking warrior. Converted realm value, 888. Absorbed energy thrust, intermediate warrior. Converted realm value, 455. The system's melodic notification chimed. To an outsider, it appeared as though Li Wei glided effortlessly amidst the onslaught of 6, with all attacks either missing or fortuitously deflected, never once countering with an attack of his own. Johnson and Erica watched in a daze, hearts racing. This agility, this battle awareness. It was simply unfathomable. Zhao Jie grew increasingly alarmed and frustrated. It was as if they were striking at an invisible quagmire, their combined strength absorbed and nullified without even brushing against their opponent's attire. Utilize combined techniques. Zhao Jie bellowed. In an instant, the six harmonized their breaths, channeling their energies to forge an immensely concentrated blade of light, imbued with the terrifying might of their collective force. Aimed at Li Wei, this strike had reached the very pinnacle of a junior war god's capabilities. Finally, Li Wei opened his eyes, a glimmer of interest flashing within them. He did not evade. Instead, he slightly tilted his body, meeting the combined blade with his left shoulder. Young master, no? Li Yao and Vanina exclaimed in alarm. Though they were aware of their son's peculiarities, they instinctively worried. Johnson and Erica widened their eyes in disbelief. Boom. The blade struck fiercely against Li Wei's left shoulder. Absorbed converged energy strike, akin to peak junior war god. Converted realm value 6,888. As the brilliance faded, Li Wei remained standing, a small tear in his combat attire exposing flawless skin beneath, unmarred and devoid of even a hint of a bruise. He lifted his hand to pat his shoulder, as if dusting off debris. Not bad. I'm beginning to feel it. Li Wei remarked. Well, the game has come to an end. No sooner had he spoken than an intangible, terrifying mental pressure descended with an overwhelming force. It was the mental prowess of a high-level battle god. Like the weight of Mount Tai, it instantaneously bore down upon the six shadow guards. Thud, thud. The six battle-hardened shadow guards, without uttering a sound, rolled their eyes back and were promptly rendered unconscious, collapsing to the ground. A mentalist. Indeed, a mentalist. And an exceedingly powerful one at that. Johnson and Erica were utterly petrified, as if struck by lightning, their minds rendered blank. Li Wei retracted his aura, casting not a glance at the unconscious shadow guards. He smiled at Johnson and Erica, saying, "It appears that the family S elite still require further training. Shall we conclude today's assessment, my friends? I find myself a bit fatigued." Johnson and Erica, awakening from their stupor, gazed upon Li Wei's unfathomable smile, feeling a chilling dread surge from their feet to the crown of their heads. All their probing, all their scheming, had turned into a farcical joke in the face of the other's absolute might. Yes, yes. Young master, please rest well. We shall not intrude any longer. The two nearly stumbled over themselves in their haste to bow and hurriedly had others carry away the unconscious shadow guards, retreating from the training ground in a disheveled manner. Observing their hasty departure, Li Yao and Vanina exchanged a knowing smile, their hearts brimming with satisfaction. Well done, Xiao Wei, Li Yao exclaimed, clapping his son on the shoulder with vigor. Li Wei smiled, though his gaze held a contemplative glint. Following the recent battle and the final mental pressure, he suddenly conceived novel ideas regarding the method of mental assault. Upon returning to his training chamber, Li Wei did not rest. Instead, he settled into a meditative posture. System. If I utilize my own mental power to simulate that kind of oppressive attack, but directed at my own consciousness, would that be considered self-inflicted harm? Can it be absorbed? Ding. Affirmative. Self-induced mental impact qualifies as harm. However, please exercise caution, as the risk of mental injury is exceedingly high. Control the intensity with care. Excellent. A flicker of excitement danced in Li Wei's eyes. He cautiously extended a thread-like wisp of mental energy, compressing it to a fine point, sharpening it, and then gently prodding it towards his consciousness core. An intensely subtle, yet acutely piercing sensation surged forth. Absorption of self-inflicted mental piercing, weak. Transformation realm value 1. Effective. Though minuscule, it was indeed effective. Li Wei's spirit soared. This indicated he had discovered a direction for limitless self-cultivation, while the efficiency paled in comparison to absorbing external attacks. It was secure, controllable, and could be performed anytime, anywhere. He began to experiment with the intensity of his mental power, the degree of compression, and the frequency of the attack, gradually probing the limits of his mental endurance while relishing the faint yet continuous increase in realm value. The sensation of strengthening through self-inflicted means was somewhat intoxicating. As he immersed himself in this novel method of self-study, a slight vibration on his wrist communicator signaled the arrival of a message. The sender was identified as Johnson. Li Wei raised an eyebrow and opened the message. Master Li Wei, I apologize for any offenses today. It is merely my duty. I hope for your understanding. Your prowess is truly astonishing, and the future of the Bolinas family rests upon your shoulders. As for Chairman Yanhai, I shall consider my report carefully. Should you require anything in the future, or wish to gain insight into certain matters within the family, Johnson is willing to offer his humble assistance, as one who believes in your potential. The message was laden with implications. Upon finishing it, a playful smile crept onto Li Wei's lips. This Johnson was indeed intriguing. Having failed to probe him, he swiftly altered his strategy, attempting to curry favor, and even hinting at a desire to ally himself. It appeared that the family was not as united as it seemed. Even those under Chairman Yanhai harbored their own thoughts. This was an unexpected boon. Perhaps he could plant a strategic peace within the family? After a moment's contemplation, he replied succinctly, understood. It was neither overly warm nor cold, leaving room for future maneuvering. Now was not the time to make rash declarations. Setting down the communicator, Li Wei's gaze sharpened. Johnson's overtures served as a reminder. The appearance of Yin Zhongjie, Old Yin, was no mere coincidence. It surely involved some clandestine and formidable force. Until this threat was neutralized, it would remain a significant concern. His parents were undoubtedly utilizing their channels to investigate, but he could not rely solely on others. Perhaps it was time to adopt a different approach. Li Wei murmured to himself, if the system could absorb damage, could it also trace back? He communicated with the system once more. System, does the energy absorbed from Yin Zhongjie's attack possess any unique energy signatures or mental imprints? Can it be analyzed or tracked? Ding. The absorbed energy contains residual mental imprints and unique energy spectral characteristics, which have been recorded. Currently, the database lacks sufficient samples for precise tracking. If the same energy source is encountered again, a comparative identification can be made. Indeed, it was possible. The system was even more powerful than he had anticipated. Although direct tracking was not feasible at the moment, it had left behind a fingerprint. Next time Yin Zhongjie or individuals from his hidden forces made a move, the system would recognize them. This was undoubtedly a crucial safeguard and a future lead for retaliation. With resolve in his heart, Li Wei closed his eyes once more. He continued to engage in subtle self-mental piercing to gain experience while devising his next course of action in his mind. Strengthening his abilities, digesting gains. Covertly investigating Yin Zhongjie and his underlying forces, navigating family disputes, and further seeking more efficient ways to acquire power were all on his agenda. Chapter 14. The Sharpening of the Mind and the Resurgence of Turmoil. In the days that followed, Li Wei led a life of seclusion and recovery. The external world buzzed with tales of his extraordinary adventures in City 003, along with his sudden ascension to the rank of a senior war god and the awakening of his mental prowess. After the embellishments provided by Johnson and Erica, these reports sent tremors through the Bolinas family and the upper echelons of the HR alliance. Awe, envy, suspicion, and attempts at alliances surged beneath the surface, yet, on the surface, no one dared to probe too deeply. The absolute power displayed by Li Wei that day, coupled with the formidable presence of the Li Yaowei and Nina couple, was enough to deter the majority of would-be usurpers. Li Wei relished the tranquility and devoted all his energy to familiarizing himself with his newfound powers and developing the system's novel functionalities. Within the confines of the training room, Li Wei sat cross-legged with his eyes closed, a slight frown adorning his brow. In his mind, the mental force of a senior war god surged like a torrential undercurrent. He meticulously controlled a slender, yet highly refined thread of mental energy, akin to a needle, piercing repeatedly into the core of his consciousness. Absorbing self-inflicted mental penetration, minor. Converting realm value 1. Absorbing self-inflicted mental penetration, minor. Converting realm value 1. The system's prompt resonated with a steady and deliberate rhythm. This method of self-training yielded minuscule realm value gains, a mere drop in the ocean compared to absorbing external attacks. However, Li Wei valued not efficiency, but the profound refinement of his control over mental energy that this process demanded. Each self-inflicted penetration served as a rigorous test of the precision, strength, and stability of his mental force. He needed to precisely modulate the intensity to reach the threshold for damage assessment while ensuring he did not genuinely harm the foundation of his consciousness. This was akin to walking a tightrope on the edge of a cliff, requiring unwavering focus with no room for error. Initially, the process was excruciatingly arduous and painful. The sharp sting, though faint, struck deep into his consciousness, potent enough to drive an ordinary person to the brink of mental collapse. Yet, fortified by the system and countless trials of life and death, Li Wei's will had become remarkably resilient. He gritted his teeth, persevering, continually adjusting and adapting. Gradually, he progressed from being able to manipulate only a single thread of mental energy to seamlessly controlling 10, then dozens, as if engaging in a microcosmic tempest of spiritual baptism. His command over mental energy evolved with astonishing finesse. It transformed from a crude surge of energy or mere physical manipulation into something seemingly alive, responding to his will with effortless grace. He even began to experiment with mimicking the various forms of attacks he had previously encountered, imitating the wind blades of the Thunderwing Dragon, employing highly compressed mental energy to simulate the effect of tearing and cutting upon himself, emulating Yin Zhongjie's shadow palm technique, attempting to infuse a chilling stillness into his mental force to assail his consciousness, and replicating the dense stings of 1,000 bees, simultaneously controlling hundreds of bee needles, physical objects, to attack a singular, minute point on his body from multiple angles, testing the limits of his local defense and absorption. A plethora of ingenious ideas unfolded before him. The system faithfully absorbs every form of self-harm, providing a meager threshold, while Li Wei's comprehension and application of power rapidly deepens through this cycle of self-inflicted suffering. Mental prowess control level has enhanced, current rating, pinnacle of subtlety. Mental intensity is slowly rising, nearing the threshold of the war god. The sporadic evaluations from the system affirm that his efforts are not in vain. Beyond the cultivation of mental prowess, he has not neglected the honing of his genetic primal energy. Although the system elevates his realm without the need for arduous self-cultivation, The finesse of exertion, efficiency of primal energy operation, and experience in countering various elemental shocks still require practical engagement and insight. He has set his sights on the shadow guards left behind. These spies dispatched by the family. Under the intimidation of Li Wei's overwhelming strength and the implicit olive branch extended by Johnson, have adopted an attitude of utmost deference and submission. Even tinged with a hint of fear-induced sycophancy, Li Wei has been resourceful in utilizing them. At a fixed time each day, the training grounds resonate with the sounds of intense assaults and Li Wei's directives. Not enough force. Haven't you eaten? Use combined strikes. Aim for my heart. Yes. Just like that. Again. Infuse your killing intent into the attacks. Treat me as your mortal enemy. TSK, this primal energy attribute is too gentle. Try the secret technique of burning your vitality. Don't fear the backlash. If you injure me, that's your skill. The shadow guards, initially tentative, gradually became numb and desperate. They exerted themselves to the utmost, even resorting to some self-harming secret techniques, fiercely assaulting the figure that resembled a demonic deity. Throughout this tempest of their attacks, Li Wei remained as steadfast as a rock, unyielding amidst their stormy onslaught, occasionally offering pointed critiques that incisively highlighted their deficiencies in exertion or combined strikes. Although the damage energy provided by these sparring partners was far inferior to that of Lord-level beasts, it excelled in consistency, diversity, with various elemental attacks, and abundance. After several days, the vast reservoir of realm value within Li Wei's system visibly increased, simultaneously enriching his database of damage metrics. The Shadow Guards, through this high-intensity, one-sided beating, training, unexpectedly discovered significant improvements in their combined attack techniques, primal energy application, and overall understanding of combat, leading to a complex emotional state. One day, having just concluded a round of self-mental piercing and combined training with the Shadow Guards, Li Wei was immersed in contemplation when his father, Li Yao, entered with a grave expression, dismissing those around him with a wave. Xiao Wei, we have uncovered some leads regarding Yin Zhongjia, Li Yao spoke solemnly. Handing over an encrypted electronic tablet, Li Wei's spirit lifted as he accepted the tablet, which contained information compiled through various channels by Li Yao. Yin Zhongjia, also known as Shadow Killer, was a peak ward god-level powerhouse active on the Eurasian continent around 60 years ago, renowned for his assassination skills and peculiar movement techniques. Having orchestrated numerous major incidents before suddenly vanishing, it is rumored that he joined a clandestine organization in pursuit of a breakthrough to planetary level. A clandestine organization? Li Wei seized upon the key term. Li Yao nodded, his expression growing increasingly grave. An organization known as Dark Star was shrouded in mystery. Its membership was limited. Yet it was rumored that at least its members were peak war gods, and possibly even planet-level powerhouses. Their actions were enigmatic, their motives unclear. They rarely engaged directly in worldly conflicts, appearing instead to search for something in the shadows. Yin Zhongjia was likely one of them. Dark Star, Li Wei murmured the name, sifting through the fragmented memories of the original text, yet finding little familiarity. It seemed to be a hidden current beneath the main storyline. What are they searching for? Li Wei inquired. Uncertain, Li Yao replied, shaking his head. There are rumors that they are collecting artifacts from various ancient civilizations, while others suggest they seek individuals with unique physiques or talents. Opinions abound. Yin Zhongjia's recent actions against you may well have stemmed from a misjudgment, mistaking you for some special target. Li Wei's gaze flickered. Was it due to the peculiar aura that leaked during the system's energy absorption and transformation? This organization is perilous, came Venina's voice from the doorway. She had evidently caught wind of the news and hurried inside. If Yin Zhongjia is merely an outer member or collaborator, then he already possesses half-step planet-level strength. The core members are likely even more formidable. Xiao Wei, you must exercise greater caution in the future. Li Wei nodded, yet instead of fear, a profound interest welled within him. Dark Star? In search of special targets and relics? This implied that the organization potentially held greater secrets regarding Earth's ancient civilizations and even cosmic energy. It also suggested they might wield formidable beings capable of inflicting greater damage. Danger and opportunity coexisted. Father, mother, continue investigating Dark Star, but be exceedingly careful not to alert them, Li Wei pondered. The focus should be on uncovering their organizational structure, member characteristics, and the channels through which they typically identify and approach their targets. He harbored a vague notion. Since they might regard him as a special target, perhaps he could employ a counter-strategy? Seeing their son so composed and clear-minded, Li Yao and Venina felt a measure of reassurance and nodded in agreement. Just as the family was deliberating, Li Wei's personal communicator suddenly emitted a distinctive alarm, a signal from the information capture program set within the network, typically indicating the acquisition of significant intelligence closely related to the designated keywords. Li Wei activated the screen, revealing a screenshot of a post that had just been posted on a clandestine martial artist forum, offering a high bounty before being swiftly deleted. The post was titled, Substantial Bounty, Ruins of City 003, Suspected Discovery of a New Ancient Civilization Relic Entrance, Coordinates, XXXYYY, accompanied by anomalous energy fluctuations. Seeking strong teams for collaborative exploration, War Gods welcome. The poster was anonymous, and the bounty was exorbitantly high. Among the few blurred photographs attached to the post, Besides a peculiar metallic door largely obscured by vines, one image inadvertently captured several beasts prowling in the vicinity. One of the creature's silhouettes caused Li Wei to freeze in astonishment. It was a colossal tiger, its body enveloped in dark golden scales, adorned with a single horn atop its head and a tail as menacing as that of a scorpion. Its physical characteristics perfectly aligned with the memory of an exceedingly rare and terrifying beast, a golden scorpion-tailed tiger. Moreover, judging by its size and energy response, it was indeed of the monarch class. Li Wei's heart raced with fervor. The entrance to the ruins, guarded by a monarch-level beast, and those familiar, peculiar energy fluctuations described. This post appeared to be a meticulously crafted trap. Was it an indiscriminate snare aimed at all greedy adventurers, or was it specifically targeting him, who had just encountered a fortuitous event and harbored a keen interest in the ruins and energy? Li Wei lifted his gaze to his parents, his eyes glinting with sharp intensity. A storm was brewing, and this time, it might be directed at him. A cold, anticipatory smile slowly curled at the corner of his lips. A trap? Just when he needed a worthy sparring partner. Chapter 15. A scheme within a scheme and the mysteries of the ruins. The encrypted electronic board was carelessly tossed onto the table, and Li Wei's attention returned to the tantalizing and treacherous screenshot of the bounty post. The coordinates shimmered like the pupils of a venomous serpent. A monarch-level beast guarding. Peculiar energy fluctuations appearing precisely at this moment. Li Yao's countenance darkened, his fists clenched tightly, making a cracking sound. This was undoubtedly directed at them. Was it Yinzhongjie? Or that Dark Star organization? Vanina's azure eyes sparkled with a chilling light. It must be them. They are using the ruins and energy fluctuations as bait, knowing that you, Little Wei, have just encountered a fortuitous event and would surely be intrigued by such matters. They do not dare to launch a direct assault on the manor, instead seeking to lure you out. Yet, Li Wei maintained an unusually calm demeanor, even tinged with amusement. He lightly tapped his fingers on the table, rapidly weighing his options in his mind. To go, or not to go? Not going would undoubtedly be the safest choice. The adversary had set a trap and must have made thorough preparations, with the possibility of planetary-level powerhouses lying in ambush. The risk was exceedingly high. However, not going would signify retreat, an admission of fear. This would embolden the enemy and undermine the deterrent force he had recently established. More importantly, it would mean missing out on a potentially invaluable opportunity to understand the Dark Star organization and even reverse the tide of harm against them. His system was in dire need of high-quality nourishment. Monarch-level beasts and planetary-level powerhouses. Just the thought sent a thrill through him. Father, mother, what outcome do you think the orchestrators of this trap most desire? Li Wei suddenly inquired. Li Yao and Vanina were taken aback. They undoubtedly wished for you to be unable to contain your curiosity and venture out alone. Vanina exclaimed urgently. No, Li Wei shook his head, his eyes gleaming with insight. What they most desire is for me to sneak out, to act discreetly, for that would facilitate their maneuvering. If I were to make a grand entrance, or even enlist official forces, their trap would be rendered ineffective. Li Yao's eyes brightened slightly. You mean? To play along with their scheme. Li Wei uttered 4 words, a cold smirk gracing his lips. Were they not using the ruins and energy fluctuations as bait? Very well. I shall take the bait. However, I shall not do so in secrecy. I will approach it with utmost transparency. In my capacity as the heir of the Polainas family, and under the esteemed title of a senior warrior of the Extreme Martial Arts Academy, I hereby formally report to the Academy and the military, applying for permission to explore this newly discovered site of ruins. Vanina hesitated slightly, pondering the potential dangers that might lurk there. If there truly is something, then all the better. We shall reap the benefits in full. If it is merely a trap. Li Wei's smile grew even colder. Then let us expose the culprits before the eyes of the world. Let us see if they dare to act against a legally sanctioned exploration team, right under the watchful gaze of the Extreme Martial Arts Academy and the military. Li Yao suddenly thumped his thigh. A splendid idea. A straightforward approach against their schemes. Let us stir the waters. I will immediately contact Inspector Wang Tong and General Shi Yu of the military. They owe us a favor, which will serve us well this time. Under the pretext of verifying the authenticity of the ruins and eliminating potential threats, we shall establish a joint exploration team. Once the matter is brought to light, the attention of Hong and the Thunder God will surely be drawn to it. At that time, should the Dark Star organization dare to show themselves, they must be prepared to endure the wrath of Earth's mightiest. The plan was swiftly finalized. Li Yao and Vanina immediately set off in different directions, leveraging all their connections to actively engage with the high echelons of the Extreme Martial Arts Academy and the military. Indeed, the application from a newly promoted senior warrior and psychic official identity to explore a potentially hazardous new ruin immediately garnered significant attention, particularly in the sensitive period following the recent outbreak of a king-level beast tide in City 003. Any abnormalities warranted vigilance. Before long, a joint exploration team composed of personnel from the Extreme Martial Arts Academy, the military, and the Polainas family was rapidly formed. Leading the team from the Extreme Martial Arts Academy was the formidable warrior Wang Tong, a close ally of Li Yao, accompanied by 2 intermediate warriors for assistance. The military dispatched an elite special operations team, led by the steadfast warrior Shi Yu, responsible for perimeter security and intelligence support. Naturally, Li Wei took charge from the Polena's family, with Li Yao and Venina insisting on accompanying him, along with that squad of shadow guards. Thoroughly trained and obedient to Li Wei, this formidable lineup could only be described as luxurious. One senior warrior, Li Wei in appearance. Two intermediate warriors, Wang Tong and another academy warrior, alongside two peak warriors, Li Yao and Venina, concealing their true strength. Complemented by an elite squad of battle generals and shadow guards. Unless a planetary-level powerhouse intervened personally, they would be well equipped to handle any dangers. The news quickly spread among the higher-ups in a limited circle, eliciting varied reactions. Some marveled at the Polena's family's fortuitous discovery of ruins. Others suspected ulterior motives, while more maintained a wait-and-see attitude. A few hours later, 3 intelligent warplanes, each emblazoned with different insignias, roared down towards the designated coordinates on the outskirts of City 003. The entire joint exploration team, armed to the teeth, disembarked from the aircraft. The scene before them was even more desolate and dilapidated than depicted in the photographs. This location lay on the outskirts of the once thriving industrial zone of City 003, littered with collapsed factories and rusted behemoth machinery. The air was thick with a faint metallic tang and the nauseating stench of monstrosities. Li Wei's psychic prowess had already spread like invisible tendrils, enveloping an area within a radius of several kilometers in an instant. The coordinates lay directly ahead at 1 o'clock, 3 kilometers away. Li Wei accurately reported the location. Within his perception, there indeed existed a concealed metallic structure emanating an exceedingly faint, unnatural energy fluctuation. Simultaneously, he distinctly sensed the presence of a lurking behemoth nearby, the golden scorpion-tailed tiger. Its kingly aura, as searing as a furnace, stood out like a beacon in the night. Moreover, numerous beast generals lay in ambush around, seemingly drawn by the peculiar energy emanation, yet too intimidated by the kingly creature's oppressive presence to approach too closely. Indeed, there was a formidable entity. Wang Tong, the god of war, wore a grave expression, as he too could vaguely perceive the unsettling pressure radiating from the creature. The energy fluctuations were weak, yet undeniably present. All units maintained vigilance and advance according to the predetermined plan. The Allied forces began to cautiously proceed forward. The Special Operations Team and Shadow Guards dispersed around the perimeter, clearing sporadic beast soldier-level monsters and establishing a temporary defensive line. Li Wei, Wang Tong, Li Yao Venina, and another martial arts champion served as the core, heading straight for the coordinates. As they drew nearer, the faint energy fluctuations became increasingly distinct. It was a cold energy residue imbued with a sense of order, markedly different from any primal energy or monster energy found on Earth, reminiscent of certain ancient civilization relics. However, a flicker of doubt arose in Li Wei's heart. This energy fluctuation was too precise, almost as if it were a recorded signal, devoid of the wear and chaotic essence that time bestows upon natural relics. Soon, a peculiar metallic door, partially buried beneath the rubble of a collapsed factory, came into view. The door appeared grayish-white, its surface smooth and adorned with incomprehensible geometric patterns, clashing with the surrounding environment. The door was tightly sealed, as if it had never been opened. Hovering 100 meters above this metallic door, a colossal tiger, over 30 meters in length and seemingly cast from dark gold, lay crouched atop the remains of a towering cooling tower, its cold vertical pupils apathetically surveying the uninvited guests. Its scorpion tail flicked lightly, the tip shimmering with a chilling blue luminescence. The golden scorpion-tailed tiger, a kingly beast. Its presence undoubtedly added an authentic peril to this relic. It truly is a guardian of a kingly monster. Another martial arts champion gasped, instinctively tightening their grip on their weapon. Prepare for battle. Our priority is to drive away or eliminate this golden scorpion-tailed tiger. Wang Tong commanded in a deep voice as potent primal energy began to coalesce. According to standard protocol, upon discovering an unknown relic, particularly one that might be guarded by a kingly beast, the first step was indeed to neutralize the threat. However, just as Wang Tong and Li Yao prepared to take action, Li Wei suddenly intervened, his brows furrowed, and his gaze fixed intently on the golden scorpion-tailed tiger. In his psychic perception, something about the state of this kingly beast felt amiss. Though its life force is colossal and ferocious, it lacks the spiritual essence and wisdom befitting a royal beast, resembling instead a meticulously programmed machine of slaughter. Furthermore, it appears to exhibit an insufficient desire to attack those so near, merely instinctively safeguarding that territory. Strangely, Li Wei senses a faint, almost imperceptible aura emanating from it, akin to the energy fluctuations radiating from the metallic door. Although shrouded by its own violent presence, it is not concealed from Li Wei's keen perception. This royal beast seems to possess an enigmatic connection with the metallic door, perhaps drawn to the energy it emits, or possibly even conjured by some unseen force. A bold hypothesis surges through Li Wei's mind. This trap may not be entirely illusory. The metallic door might indeed harbor peculiarities, manipulated by unseen hands to deliberately attract him here, and this royal beast could be an integral part of the trap. Xiao Wei, what is the matter? Li Yao perceives his son's unease. Li Wei does not respond, but instead sharply focuses his mental energy, shifting from a broad scan to a precise probe. delicately piercing towards the metallic door in an attempt to explore its internal structure more deeply. As his mental energy grazes the surface patterns of the door, an unexpected transformation occurs. The once silent metallic door erupts with blinding white light as its geometric patterns ignite, unleashing an extraordinary energy wave far more potent than before, sweeping through the surroundings like a tidal wave. Simultaneously, the golden-armored scorpion-tailed tiger seems to receive a tremendous stimulus, unleashing a thunderous roar as its frigid vertical pupils blaze crimson. Its massive form leaps from the cooling tower, propelled by a frenzy of destruction, charging directly at Li Wei. The full force of this royal beast's assault is earth-shattering. Be careful, Wang Tong and Li Yao shout in unison, rushing to intercept. Yet, Li Wei's response is swifter. Rather than retreating, a glimmer of realization flashes in his eyes. System. Max power. Prepare to absorb. He disregards the oncoming golden-armored scorpion-tailed tiger, concentrating the majority of his attention on the brilliantly glowing metallic door. He possesses an intense intuition that the true peril and secrets lie within that door. Just as the tiger's lethal claws are about to strike Li Wei, a fissure suddenly appears in the center of the glowing metallic door. A pale, distorted beam of highly concentrated exotic energy silently emerges, swiftly traversing the space to illuminate Li Wei. The emergence of this beam surpasses all expectations. Its energy waves are frigid and lifeless, yet they carry an insidious quality that sends shivers through the soul. Its target is unmistakably Li Wei. As the golden-shelled scorpion-tailed tiger lunged into the air, it was swept by the residual waves of the pale beam, emitting a heart-wrenching wail as its massive form swiftly disintegrated, as if corroded by a potent acid. The formidable defenses of this king-level beast crumbled like paper before the pale radiance. Everyone was rendered speechless by this sudden and terrifying turn of events. Xiao Wei, Li Yao and Vianina cried out in anguish, desperate to render aid, but far too late. That dreadful pale beam had completely engulfed Li Wei. Warning. Detection of ultra-high-intensity unknown energy erosion. Nature, soul, energy annihilation. Threat level, extremely high. Absorbing, energy conversion, realm value. Warning. Energy is excessively vast and unique. Conversion efficiency diminished. Portions of energy have begun to penetrate, attempting to analyze energy structure. Ding. Detection of this energy containing a faint aura of law, incomplete. Beginning record and analysis. The system's alert sounds rang out at an unprecedented frequency. Li Wei stood motionless, enveloped in the pale glow, his body quivering slightly. His face a complex tapestry of pain and exhilaration. He sensed that this energy far surpassed any attack he had previously absorbed. It was not merely assailing his physical form, but also striving to obliterate his soul and energy core. Although the system could still absorb and convert, it appeared strained, with portions of energy breaching the absorption barrier and beginning to corrode his body. Yet this erosion brought not only destruction but also an unprecedented clarity regarding the essence of energy. It was as if a cold chisel were methodically excising the impure parts of his body and soul. Pain and enlightenment intertwined. A trap within a trap. This was no mere entrance to an ancient civilization's ruins. It resembled an activated ancient weapon, or perhaps a testing apparatus. Was the mastermind attempting to use this to assess, or even purify him? Chapter 16. The Baptism of Laws and the Astonishment of Eldarine. The pale beam, cold and silent, resembled a judgmental eye from distant cosmic seas, thoroughly enveloping Li Wei. The golden-shelled scorpion-tailed tiger, swept by the residual waves, silently disintegrated, its wails hauntingly piercing, leaving it gravely wounded and on the brink of death, a terrifying spectacle that stunned all present. Xiao Wei, Li Yao's eyes widened in desperation, golden primal energy surging forth as he sought to leap forward. Vianina's complexion turned ashen, her mental powers fiercely clashing against the beam, yet they vanished without a trace. Wang Tong and others were equally astonished, their minds shaken by this incomprehensible assault. However, at the core of the beam, Li Wei experienced a starkly different sensation. Absorbing ultra-high-intensity unknown energy erosion, containing a faint aura of law. Absorption damage value. 1, 285,000 units. Conversion realm value. 1, 285,000 points. Absorption damage value. 1, 560,000 units. Conversion realm value. 1, 560,000 points. Absorption damage value. 2, 010,000 units. Conversion realm value. 2, 010,000 points. The system's alert tones inundated the screen with unprecedented frequency. A colossal surge of energy, exceeding any prior assault, was indiscriminately absorbed and transformed, flooding into Li Wei's being like a torrential deluge of realm value. The damage of a law capable of obliterating planetary-level beings was, in the face of the system's absolute properties, merely the purest sustenance. Was it painful? Indeed, it was excruciating. That frigid power, imbued with the essence of annihilation and purification, penetrated deeply, attempting to decompose every cell within him and erode the core of his soul. This pain, reaching the very essence of his being, surpassed any physical blow. Yet, Under the condition that the system absorbed everything to ensure his body remained unscathed, this suffering transformed into an exquisite sensory experience. More importantly, amidst the onslaught of this elevated power, Li Wei's perception was infinitely magnified. He could distinctly introspect the most minute flaws within his genetic primal energy, witnessing every imperfection in the operation of his mental force. That pale beam resembled an ultra-high precision scanner, illuminating the mysteries within him, while simultaneously acting as an invisible scalpel, forcibly imprinting the secrets of energy purity and structural stability contained within the law onto his awareness. This was not destruction. It was a brutal and alternative baptism of knowledge. The essence of law. This was the power of law. A tide of understanding surged within Li Wei. The malevolent puppeteer indeed harbored sinister intentions, seeking to utilize this device to detect and even purify him, to extract all his secrets. Alas, they miscalculated one crucial point. Any form of damage was merely sustenance for Li Wei. You wish to probe me? Then let the examination commence. A manic glint sparkled in Li Wei's eyes as he willingly released his mind and body, guiding the energy of the law's beam to scan even deeper, greedily absorbing and comprehending the profundities it contained. Realm value: 1, 850,000 points. Realm value: 2, 200,000 points. Analyzing the structure of the Annihilation Law fragment. Progress: 1, 2, 3. Gene primal energy undergoing spontaneous purification. Mental force structure optimization in progress. Absorb damage value: 2, 500,000 units. Converted realm value: 2, 500,000 points. His body trembled slightly, his expression a complex interplay of agony and exquisite pleasure. The realm value within him accumulated at an unprecedented pace, swiftly surpassing the 5 million mark and advancing toward 10 million. Although he could not directly transcend to planetary level, the immense power was nearly overwhelming. Outside, Li Yao and the others' attacks were utterly futile, failing to budge the law's beam in the slightest. As if sensing that the target was not only resisting the purifying light, but was growing ever stronger, the metallic door emitted an even more intense hum. And the output of the pale beam suddenly thickened, with energy intensity soaring once again. Absorb damage value: 3, 800,000 units. Converted realm value: 3, 800,000 points. Absorb damage value: 4, 500,000 units. Conversion boundary value: 4, 500,000 points. Analysis progress: 5, 10. The host's adaptability to the law of annihilation has been enhanced. Warning: the external energy output rate exceeds the current maximum conversion rate. Initiating buffer queue. All damage continues to be fully absorbed, though conversion may experience slight delays. The system notification echoed once more, this time indicating that the rapid influx of energy necessitated a queue for conversion. Yet it still emphasized that all damage would be completely absorbed. The host remained unharmed. Li Wei's exterior, clad in the system-simulated combat suit, could no longer withstand the terrifying energy aftershocks, not direct damage, and began to fracture. His skin revealed more genuine, pale cracks, a natural consequence of the high-energy environment rather than direct beam impact. The system promptly allocated a small amount of boundary value for repairs. To onlookers, this appeared as a sign that Li Wei was on the verge of collapse. Xiaowei, Li Yao, and Vianina were gripped with fear. Just then, a hum resonated. A torrent of boundary value within Li Wei, unable to be fully converted at present, violently resonated with a fragment of the law of annihilation he passively comprehended. A highly unstable, chaotic field of energy began to expand abruptly around him. The emergence of this energy field instantaneously disrupted the stability of the pale beam. Analysis progress: 15. Obtained critical energy structure information. Simulating reverse interference pulse. Fire. The system seized this fleeting opportunity, instantly simulating a precise reverse energy pulse based on the analyzed information, surging upstream against the beam and crashing into the metallic door. With a hiss, akin to an overloaded circuit, the metallic door trembled violently, its patterns flickering erratically, emitting a pale beam that twisted and flickered wildly before suddenly dimming and extinguishing. Silence descended once more. Thud. Li Wei knelt on one knee, breathing heavily, partly faint, partly from exhilaration, while the minute cracks on his body rapidly healed under the system's allocation of boundary value. The surging power within him gradually stabilized, and the chaotic energy field dissipated. A profound silence enveloped the scene. The sound of a pin dropping could be heard. Everyone gazed in shock at the now silent door, then glanced at the seemingly gravely injured Li Wei. Xiaowei, Li Yao, and Vianina rushed forward. I'm fine, just a bit drained. Li Wei waved his hand, his voice weak, yet his gaze shot coldly towards the metallic door. At that moment, a raspy voice tinged with disbelief resonated from above. The gray-robed elder Yin Zhongjie reappeared, suspended in midair. The cat-and-mouse grin on his face had vanished, replaced by an expression of extreme astonishment and scrutiny. He stared intently at Li Wei, as if trying to see through him entirely, to withstand the purification light throughout. The energy response not only did not diminish, but increased. In fact, It even triggered the energy field to interfere with the operation of the device. In Zhongjia's voice trembled with an unacknowledged quiver, as the output power of that entity was such that even a true planetary-level first-tier powerhouse would not dare to endure it until the end. How on earth have you accomplished this? His plans had utterly crumbled. This Li Wei was nothing short of a monstrosity. The so-called fortuitous encounter must be astonishing beyond imagination. With the assistance of his parents, Li Wei slowly rose to his feet, a pale and frigid smile gracing his face. Old Yin, your welcoming gift carries significant weight. Unfortunately, my appetite is rather substantial. In Zhongjia's eyes twitched, his expression darkening as he unleashed the full weight of his half-step planetary pressure, bearing down on the crowd like an imposing mountain, sharp-tongued. It seems I must take matters into my own hands to pry open your mouth. The terrifying pressure nearly suffocated Wang Tong and the others, rendering even Li Yao and Vanina unable to move freely. However, at the epicenter of this oppressive force, Li Wei merely raised an eyebrow. Absorbing mental pressure, half-step planetary level. Absorbed damage value, 15,888 units. Converted realm value, 15,888 points. Absorbing energy field pressure, half-step planetary level. Absorbed damage value, 27,554 units. Converted realm value, 27,554 points. Is that all? Li Wei even sighed with a sense of comfort. Although the benefits from this sustained pressure massage were not high per instance, they were indeed enduring. He gazed at the grimacing In Zhongjia and slowly lifted his hand, beckoning with his fingers. Planning to strike? Then let us dispense with the pleasantries. Just right, I wasn't quite satiated. Do not disappoint me with your attack, Old Yin. Chapter 17. The Battle of Overwhelm in the Shadow of the Dark Star. Li Wei's casual beckoning and scornful words ignited a fuse, instantly incinerating In Zhongjia's last vestige of reason. You foolish youth. Seeking death. In Zhongjia's hair bristled, his gaunt visage contorted with rage. The terrifying primordial energy of half-step planetary level erupted without restraint, his gray robe billowing as if stirred by an unseen wind. The very space around him warped slightly, unable to endure the sheer magnitude of this dreadful force. No longer holding back, his right hand curled into a claw. The once thin palm now darkened to the hue of ink, as if it had absorbed all the shadows and silence of the world. A chilling aura that could freeze the very soul began to emanate. Netherworld Ghost Claw. In Zhongjia howled, his form vanishing like a wraith, only to reappear above Li Wei in the next instant. The inky claws tore through the air, tracing 5 dark, twisted paths as they descended menacingly toward Li Wei's crown. This claw contained the purest shadow primordial energy that In Zhongjia had painstakingly cultivated for decades. Infused with a sliver of the obliteration concept he had comprehended just before reaching the planetary threshold. Its power far exceeded the palm print he had previously unleashed from a distance. He was absolutely confident that even an aircraft carrier would be reduced to fragments by this strike. Little Wei, be careful. Li Yao and Vanina cried out in horror, desperately attempting to intervene, but the fearsome force of the claw left them mired as if trapped in quicksand, their movements delayed by more than just a beat. Wang Tong and others were compelled to retreat repeatedly under the overwhelming pressure, struggling to breathe, their eyes filled with despair. Such an assault transcended the limits of their comprehension. Yet, in the face of a claw capable of shattering planetary-level titans, Li Wei merely lifted his head slightly. His gaze was calm and unwavering, even infused with a hint of anticipation. Absorbing high-density shadow energy physical tearing attack, half-step planetary pinnacle, damage absorbed, 888 units, realm conversion value, 888 points. Absorbing the essence of Annihilation's corrosion, weak, damage absorbed, 666 units, realm conversion value, 666 points. The system prompt sounded crisp and clear. Just as the cataclysmic ghostly claw was about to touch the top of Li Wei's head, all energy, all essence, all kinetic force vanished, as if colliding with the deepest black hole in the universe. The anticipated scene of brain matter splattering did not materialize. Not even a strand of hair fluttered. Li Wei stood there, serene, as In Zhongjia's dark claw halted merely an inch above him, unable to advance further. It was as though time itself had come to a standstill. The fierce expression and confidence on In Zhongjia's face abruptly froze, transforming into sheer astonishment and disbelief. He felt as if the claw, which encapsulated his life's hard-earned strength, had grasped an infinitely smooth and impenetrable barrier. All his might was utterly devoured and neutralized in a manner beyond comprehension. The backlash surged through him, causing his wrist to throb painfully, blood and qi roiling within him. How could this be? He screamed in disbelief, his voice cracking. Is this it? Li Wei remarked, a palpable disappointment lacing his tone. A half-step planetary level. Is this the extent of your prowess? You couldn't even tickle me with this. As he spoke, he moved. There was no cataclysmic eruption of energy. He simply raised his right hand, fingers splayed, directing a seemingly slow yet lightning-fast slap toward In Zhongjia's astonished face. This strike contained no extravagant energy luminescence. It was pure, unadulterated physical force. Yet, augmented by the terrifying base strength of several hundred kilograms at the intermediate Battle God realm, after system enhancement and flawless power techniques. It exceeded the limits of visual perception and speed. Slap. The resounding sound of the slap echoed through the heavens. Yin Zhongjie had no time to react. His astonished expression unchanged, as he felt an irresistible colossal force strike his left cheek with tremendous impact. Triggered passive absorption. Absorbed backlash force. Weak. Damage absorbed. 100 units. Realm conversion value. 100 points. Bang. Yin Zhongjie felt as though he had been struck head-on by a speeding train. His head jerked violently to the right, and his neck emitted a nauseating crack, possibly a fracture of the cervical vertebrae. A torrent of blood mixed with shattered teeth erupted from his mouth. His body, uncontrollably spinning like a top, whirled through the air for several revolutions before he clumsily regained his balance, staggering backward for dozens of meters. His left cheek swelled visibly, a distinct five-finger imprint emerging upon it, as an excruciating pain and an unprecedented sense of humiliation overwhelmed his senses. Silence. A deathly stillness enveloped the scene. Everyone stood in stunned disbelief, their minds rendered utterly blank. A single slap, merely a slap, had it truly sent a formidable figure, a half-step planetary powerhouse, flying as though swatting a fly, and had it knocked out his teeth? What monstrous force was this? What kind of creature was this? Li Yao and Viniana gaped at their son, who appeared unfazed, feeling their worldview shatter and reconstruct itself. Wang Tong and others were, as if petrified, sensing they were trapped in a surreal dream. Yin Zhongjie steadied himself, clutching his rapidly swelling left cheek, acutely aware of the painful void left by his missing teeth and the incredulous gazes surrounding him. The shock was swiftly supplanted by an overwhelming rage and madness. "Ah, you little beast. I will tear you into 1,000 pieces." He had completely lost his sanity, disregarding all techniques and philosophies. As the primal energy within him surged like boiling lava, he transformed into a blurred, gray streak, exuding a desperate, catastrophic momentum, and lunged again at Li Wei. His claws extended in a frenzied attempt to rend. Absorption of chaotic shadow energy strike. Half-step planetary. Damage absorbed. 1, 234, 567 units. Conversion of realm value. 1, 234. 567 points. Absorption of strike. Damage absorbed. 987, 654 units. Conversion of realm value. 987, 654 points. Absorption of strike. Damage absorbed. 1, 111, 111 units. Conversion of realm value. 1, 111, 111 points. Li Wei remained rooted in place, not even altering his stance. Yin Zhongjie's tempestuous onslaught fell upon him as if a drop in the ocean, contributing only vast amounts of realm value without any discernible effect. He stood like an ancient reef amidst tumultuous waves, impervious to the battering winds and crashing surf. Too slow. The force is inadequate. The angles are indeed tricky, yet still ineffective. Have you not eaten? Mustering more strength would serve you well. Li Wei even found the leisure to occasionally comment, his tone flat. Yet each word pierced Yin Zhongjie's heart like a dagger. As the relentless attacks continued, Yin Zhongjie felt an increasing dread and despair. His strikes were utterly ineffective. The opponent's defense was insurmountable. This was not a battle. It was a one-sided humiliation. His confidence and fighting spirit began to crumble rapidly under the weight of this incomprehensible predicament. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. What manner of monster are you? Yin Zhongjie, seemingly driven to madness, began to launch erratic attacks. Are you fatigued? Li Wei suddenly sighed, appearing somewhat disinterested. Then let us conclude this. As his words lingered in the air, an overwhelming surge of advanced, godlike mental power erupted. No longer was it mere pressure. It had become a palpable force of supreme refinement. The intangible mental energy instantaneously transformed into countless resilient shackles, intricately entwining around Yin Zhongjie's limbs, torso, and neck. Simultaneously, a more piercing mental assault, akin to a drill, ruthlessly pierced into the ocean of his consciousness. Yin Zhongjie's movement abruptly faltered, as if ensnared in an invisible adhesive, rendering his actions sluggish and arduous. His mind felt as though it had been struck by a heavy hammer, buzzing with confusion. A mentalist, an advanced god level 1. Once more, he was struck with disbelief. The intelligence he had received had been gravely flawed. In that moment of mental disarray and constrained movement, Li Wei sprang into action. His figure vanished like a specter, reappearing directly in front of Yin Zhongjie the next second. With his right hand, the index and middle fingers aligned, he concentrated highly compressed, newly comprehended energy imbued with the essence of the annihilation principle at his fingertips, and swiftly directed it towards Yin Zhongjie's dantian. This strike was swift, precise, and brutal. Yin Zhongjie's pupils constricted, desperately attempting to summon energy for defense, yet the bindings of mental power and the mental assault caused him a momentary delay. With a soft sound, his fingertip effortlessly landed upon Yin Zhongjie's dantian. A domineering force, brimming with annihilative properties, surged into his being, shattering the energy reservoir he had painstakingly cultivated for decades with ease, scattering it to the winds. A heart-wrenching and despairing scream escaped Yin Zhongjie's lips. As the overwhelming energy fluctuations around him dissipated like a punctured balloon, blood gushed from his mouth as if it were free of cost. He plummeted to the ground like a severed kite, crashing heavily and stirring up a cloud of dust. His energy reservoir was shattered, his cultivation rendered null. Li Wei descended lightly to the ground, standing with his hands clasped behind his back, gazing at the convulsing figure of Yin Zhongjie, who lay on the ground like a lifeless dog, now filled only with despair and desolation. Now, can you answer my questions properly? He inquired. What exactly is your dark star? The arena fell into an eerie silence. Only the mournful whispers of the wind passing through the ruins and Yin Zhongjie's pained groans resonated. All eyes turned to Li Wei, gazing upon him as if he were a deity or demon. Chapter 18. Fragments of Memory and the Calm Before the Storm. In the ruins, a heavy stillness enveloped the air. Only the intermittent sounds of Yin Zhongjie's agonized groans and labored breaths echoed, reminiscent of a dilapidated bellows. He lay collapsed in the dust, his once withered visage now twisted in pain and despair, his gaze vacant, bereft of the slightest semblance of a stellar-level warrior's grandeur. With his energy reservoir shattered, decades of arduous cultivation lay in ruins, a fate more excruciating than death itself. Li Wei stood with his hands behind his back, looking down upon him with an icy gaze as frigid as ancient ice. Li Yao, Venina, and Wang Tong swiftly gathered around, their gazes fixed upon Li Wei, filled with an ineffable awe and shock, leaving them momentarily speechless. Yin Zhongjie, Li Wei's voice shattered the silence, devoid of any emotion. My patience is limited. What is Dark Star? Why have they targeted me? What was that device just now? Speak, and I shall grant you a swift end. Yin Zhongjie struggled to lift his head, a flicker of resentment and frenzied mockery glinting in his vacant eyes. Heh, little beast, you have destroyed me. But you shall not survive long. The terror of Dark Star far exceeds your imagination. They will find you, strip away your secrets, leaving you in a state of despair. Unable to live or die, Li Wei's brow furrowed, losing the last vestige of patience. He slowly crouched down, extending his right index finger, which once again gathered a faint yet chilling aura of annihilation, pointing it at Yin Zhongjie's forehead. Though I am not proficient in soul-searching techniques, I can indeed obliterate your consciousness and sift through fragmented memories. His voice dripped with a demonic whisper. The process will be excruciating, and the memories may be disjointed. This is your final opportunity. Feeling the icy breath of annihilation emanating from Li Wei's fingertip, Yin Zhongjie finally succumbed to complete despair. The agony of his ruined body and the terror of losing his soul overwhelmed him. No, please. I will tell you. I will. He cried, tears streaming down his face. Li Wei halted his finger just an inch from Yin Zhongjie's forehead, observing him coldly. Dark Star, Yin Zhongjie coughed violently, speaking in fragmented sentences, is a very ancient and secretive organization, said to have existed even before the Great Nirvana period. A tremor ran through the hearts of the onlookers. Before the Great Nirvana? What an ancient force that must be. They rarely engage directly in worldly conflicts. The core members are said to be planetary-level beings, and perhaps even stellar-level dignitaries preside over them, a profound fear reflected in Yin Zhongjie's eyes. They have been continuously searching for relics of various ancient civilizations and humans possessing special talents or physiques. Why have they targeted me? Li Wei pressed on. I do not know. Yin Zhongjie shook his head. I am merely an outer member, receiving orders from above, indicating that an anomalous energy reaction had emerged in Zone 003, suspected to be a seed awakening, and I was instructed to confirm and, if possible, bring it back. If met with resistance, I was permitted to use the purification gate for detection and capture. Seed? Li Wei seized upon this keyword. I do not know what the seed specifically refers to, only that it is one of the organization's highest search priorities. Yin Zhongjie's breath grew increasingly faint. The metallic door is a replica of the purification gate equipped by the organization, containing a fragment of true law power, used to assess target potential and eliminate unstable factors. Who is your superior? How can we contact them? Where is Dark Star's headquarters? Li Yao interjected sharply. Uncertain, the connection was solely linear. Each task's directives were received through an encrypted channel, and upon completion, reports were sent back to headquarters, the location of which remained a mystery. Yin Zhongjie's voice grew increasingly faint, revealing only that the organization maintained eyes and strongholds across major bases and even in the desolate regions. Li Wei's gaze flickered momentarily, and he suddenly extended his finger to lightly tap Yin Zhongjie's temple. This was not an act of soul-searching. Rather, he gently infused a pure mental force while simultaneously commanding the system, assist in scanning the cerebral memory area, attempting to extract key fragments of information while circumventing any potential self-destruction protocols. Command received. Initiating scan. Weak mental barriers and self-destruction runes detected, attempting to bypass. Memory Fragment 1 retrieved. A vague black star insignia. Memory Fragment 2 retrieved. A series of encrypted frequency codes, recorded. Memory Fragment 3 retrieved. An incomplete star chart indicating a location in the depths of the Pacific Ocean, coordinates unclear. Memory Fragment 4 retrieved. A codename, Judge. Warning. Core memory encryption lock accessed. Forced extraction will trigger self-destruction. Reading interrupted. At that very moment of system interruption, Yin Zhongjia's eyes widened in shock. A minuscule black rune flickering deep within his pupils before his head exploded with a resounding crack, splattering red and white matter everywhere. The self-destruction protocol had indeed been triggered. Li Wei had already withdrawn at the system's warning, erecting a mental barrier to shield himself from the splattered remnants. His expression remained calm, unfazed by the outcome. It was entirely expected for a core member of such a clandestine organization to possess a self-destruction mechanism in their mind. Yet, the information gleaned was sufficiently substantial. The Black Star insignia, the encrypted channel, the Pacific Ocean coordinates, and the codename Judge. Particularly troubling was the term Seed, which stirred a multitude of suspicions within Li Wei. This seemed to imply that the Dark Star organization had set its sights on him. Not merely due to the system's leaked presence, but perhaps for deeper reasons. Silence enveloped the scene as onlookers gazed somberly at Yin Zhongji